Y'all let me cover for tonight. Glad that you're here for the regular session of the City of South Fulton. And at this time, I would ask our clerk to call the roll, please. Where's the clerk?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would ask that you will entertain a motion to close the work session so we can advertise that there was no action taken during today's agenda.
You're right, and I would entertain that motion.
I move that we close this executive session for April 24th, 2018.
Second. Properly moved and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Mr. Clerk, you may announce any activity that's going to be taken during that session.
Yes, sir. As previously indicated, there was no action taken during today's executive session.
You may call the order. Call the roll.
Yes, sir.
Roll.
Mayor William Bill Edwards.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mark Baker. Present. Councilmember Catherine Rowell.
Present.
Councilmember Carmelita Dunn.
Present.
Councilmember Helen D. Willis.
Present.
Councilmember Naima Gilliard.
Here.
Councilmember Rosie Jackson.
Here.
And Councilmember Khalid. Present. Mr. Mayor, all members are present.
At this time, we'll have an invocation by our chaplain, followed by the pledge of allegiance.
Let us stand. Let us pray. Dear gracious God, we thank you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us individually and collectively. We're reminded, oh God, that together we make all things happen. Oneness, unity. Where there's unity, there's strength. So we ask that you allow your strength to fall upon us as the wisdom fall in this place, upon our mayor and our city council. We're united, we're one for great things to happen. So this we pray in Jesus' name. Let us all say amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated.
Mr. Clerk? Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. On today's consent agenda for your consideration are two items: the meeting minutes from Tuesday, April 10th, 2018, and a staffing for adequate fire and emergency response SAFER grant proposal, and this is prepared to support the hiring of 30 additional firefighters.
Can I ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? That passes unanimously, Mr. Clerk.
The next item is a request for approval of the regular meeting agenda. I would like to note that there are two proclamations on your printed agenda that are being held, one sponsored by Councilmember Gumbs for Victoria McQueen, and another sponsored by Councilmember Rowell for Walter Blackman.
Any further changes to the agenda? If not, I entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the regular agenda for May 24th, 2018.
Motion by Willis, seconded by Ms. Gilliard. All those in favor? That passes. Mr. Clerk?
All right, the first proclamation is sponsored by Councilmember Rowell. This is a proclamation recognizing Terri, Ajile, Axam Appreciation Day.
Thank you, Ms. Axam, for coming forward. At this time, I'd like to present a proclamation from the City of South Fulton. It reads as follows. Whereas Terri Ajile Axam is a dance artist, vocalist, and cultural arts entertainer who founded Total Dance Danceicle Productions for the dual purpose of promoting instruction in dance and the performing arts to research and celebrate African American culture and artistry. Whereas Ms. Axam for 14 years has developed dance programs for the Fulton County Board of Education and taught at the following high schools: North Springs, Langston Hughes, Creekside, and the Tri-Cities Magnet Arts Program. And her students have received scholarships in higher education and become industry professionals in dance companies and on Broadway. Ms. Axam has taught dance on the collegiate level at Princeton University, Trenton State College, Grinnell University, Valdosta State University, Macon State College, Pennsylvania State University, and Edna Manley College in Kingston, Jamaica. Whereas Ms. Axam has served as a tutor at the Kalani Hanawe Festival in Hawaii and the West African Exchange Tour in Senegal, and performed dance for the Olympic Village and the U.S. Ambassador to the People's Republic of China, among others. Whereas as the creator of the Moja dance technique, and her work throughout Atlanta and the United States and abroad have been recognized with awards from the Black College Dance Exchange and the NAACP, in addition to being featured on CNN and in Cosmopolitan magazine. And whereas Ms. Axam danced in the HBO special Miss Evers' Boys and choreographed and performed with the Grammy Award-winning group Arrested Development, balladeer Peebo Bryson, and the City of South Fulton's own soul singer Millie Jackson, is a testament to her belief that art should be accessible to all people. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and the City Council of the City of South Fulton recognize Ms. Axam's contribution as a dance artist, artistic director, and cultural arts entertainer, and does hereby proclaim Tuesday, April 24, 2018 is Terri Ajile Axam Appreciation Day in the City of South Fulton.
I'd just like to take a moment to say thank you to the President, City Council, and to everyone here and beyond. Very briefly, thank you is just a word to say, but in my heart, I want you to know, if you could see a creative dance, I'm dancing to Langston Hughes' poem, The Souls of My People, Noel Pointer's song, who played a violin night song. I'm dancing to the legendary Catherine Dunham's movements that gave modern and jazz to the entire dance world, to the confidence and creativity that my mother and father gave me. But most of all, my thank you comes from the gift of God to know how to be of service to the community. Thank you.
Ms. Ajile, Women Hold Up Half the Sky, I just want to say thank you. She was my dance teacher at Tri-Cities. I was Tri-Cities graduate, so thank you so much.
All right, here we go. 1, 2. One more time. 1, 2.
The next proclamation is a proclamation recognizing the Creekside Men's Group Appreciation Day that's sponsored by Councilmember Willis.
They got their own theme music? Is there? You already have theme music? That's it? Oh, okay.
Whereas Creekside Men's Group, CSMG, is a collection of men who are homeowners and residents of the Creekside subdivision located in the City of South Fulton, District 3. Whereas CSMG was created with 3 basic principles. Do something to improve the community because doing nothing is not working. Promote community across 4 neighborhoods that make up Creekside subdivision. Serve as powerful symbol of unity and positivity in the community. Whereas CSMG established a partnership with Seaborn Lee Elementary School to donate snacks and supplies as well as volunteers for such activities as guiding incoming car riding student drop-off traffic every Friday morning and helping out with annual field day. Whereas CSMG has created and implemented a mentoring program for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade boys named Mentors, MENTOURS, men empowering and nurturing through outreach, uniting resources and students, because manhood is a journey. Whereas CSMG arranged opportunities for Creekside residents to meet and learn about their elected officials and public servants. Whereas the CSMG has engaged in issues that most concern community, such as the Coca-Cola warehouse, and proposed ordinance holding parents accountable for their kids engaging in criminal activity. And whereas the Creekside Men's Group has been a positive and consistent presence in the community and has earned the trust of the Creekside and City of South Fulton residents. Now there it be resolved, the Mayor and the City Council congratulates the Creekside Men's Group for their service and their contribution to the citizens of South Fulton, declaring Tuesday, April 24, 2018, the Creekside Men's Group Appreciation Day in the City of South Fulton. I am proud City Councilperson. I am proud to be a resident of this community, and I hope this is a model that will follow throughout the city of South Fulton and all communities.
I just want to say, look at these men. Who believe in their community, who don't have time to yimmy-yah and whatever, but out doing something for their community. And a lot of times we have stuff going on, the women lead, but look at these men. I was called by them to go out to look at Black Panther with them. So I took my grandson with me, and we got to see Black Panther, and they had kids from everywhere. And it was an orderly fashion. Gentlemen, I appreciate you. I salute you. Because it's time for us as men to take a stand in our own community.
Well, thank you, Mayor, City Council members, other elected officials, and public service workers, and as well as residents. We're just guys from the community, as she said. You know, we have a neighborhood Facebook. We see some things on there that, you know, you wouldn't like to see, and we know it nothing does. The evidence is in. So we say, well, let's just get together and do something. We didn't know what to do, but we started somewhere. And with the first step, came the second step, came the third step, and so on. So we just came together, and we bonded together, and we were of the belief, when men get together, powerful things can happen. And that was the point we jumped off on. And at some point, also, it was about men, our men's group, is a big thing is accountability. The thing is, at some point, if your community is not going in the direction you want it to go, if you're not doing anything, at some point you're culpable to the problem. And we didn't want to do that. So we just some guys from the community. We've been blessed to be able to form and do some things, and we look forward to doing many more things. Thank you all.
We also have church, and I want to give Rowell the opportunity to tell you when we have church service. We have church service every Sunday in Creekside as well.
Well, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. We have our church service in the clubhouse of our community every Sunday from 10 to 11:30. And a lot of these men have been through that church, amen, so I'm just proud of that. I do want to say hi to my bulldog right there, Judge. That's the bulldog, South Carolina State. But it is a privilege and an honor to be a part of these great men. We encourage one another, and like our brother Craig said, manhood makes the difference. When men are present in the home, when men are present in the communities, our property values go up, crime goes down, our children hold their heads up, and so that's what we want to be a part of. Thank you. Thank
Here we go. On three. 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3. And last picture. 1, 2, 3.
The next two proclamations are sponsored by Councilmember Gumbs. They are proclamations recognizing Kevin A. Oliver Jr. and Joshua Williams Appreciation Day in the city of South Fulton.
Can the families and Joshua Williams and Kevin Oliver Jr. join me? Let's give these young men a hand. Hello, hello, how are you? All right. I don't know if many of you have heard the story about these gentlemen, but I will give you just a brief update, especially you can find it in my newsletter. But again, these gentlemen are from Westlake and Tri-Cities. And I know that one of the council members in the back, he wants to make sure that he has a comment today. But I'm going to read you the proclamation, and you'll be pretty surprised at these young men. And I'm going to read them together so we don't have to do two separate ones because I know it's hot. Kevin A. Oliver Jr., who also attends Westlake High School as a senior. Joshua Williams, who attends Tri-Cities High School as a senior as well. Joshua has demonstrated outstanding accomplishments as a student during his years of attending school in academics and music, both Kevin as well. The Juilliard School's decision to accept only one jazz saxophone player, and the Juilliard School receives applications worldwide, and its acceptance rate is lower than Harvard University. Also, Julia's decision to accept only one classical tuba player, and I played flute. And again, the rate is lower than Harvard University. So I wanted to make sure I took the opportunity to recognize these young men because they live right here in South Fulton. I think when I read the story from his parents, I kind of got goosebumps, and I was like, we have to find a way to recognize these young men. So now it be resolved, the mayor and city council of the city of South Fulton congratulates both Kevin A. Oliver Jr. and also Joshua Williams on their achievements and do hereby claim Tuesday, April 24, 2018 as Kevin A. Oliver Jr. and Joshua Williams Appreciation Day in the city of South Fulton for their acceptance into the Juilliard School. Okay, I want you to say a few words.
Thank you. I just want to say that I'm very blessed and humbled to receive this honor. It's been a dream of mine for a long time to go to the Juilliard School, and I'm very happy that all my hard work has paid off. So thank you to you guys for being here today. I want to thank my parents, my teachers, my family, friends, my peers, because without them, none of this would be possible. So thank you.
I just want to also thank you all for being here today. It's truly an honor to receive this. I want to thank my parents and my mom for everything she's done. I want to thank all my teachers, all my band directors, everyone who's helped me through this journey, because it really has been a journey, and I couldn't have done it all on my own, so thank you.
And then also too, of course, you know this is a village, but we want to recognize the parents. Do you all want to say something?
Sure. Don't make us cry.
Hi, I'm Crystal Oliver. I'm Kevin Oliver's mother. His father could not be here tonight, but I wanted to just commend both of them. They kind of grew up together in music, starting in 6th grade. They wrote their first song called Sarkino after their band director. It was really cute, really amazing. So they've been together for a long time, and so in high school they separated. And you know, the big thing was you tried to keep us apart, but you couldn't. And now they're going to the Juilliard School in New York City together. And we'll be doing
Hi, I'm Valerie Williams. I'm Joshua's mother. My husband as well could not be here tonight. But this is a fantastic opportunity for them to be recognized in their community. They worked so hard, so many hours they put in, like she said, since 6th grade, and this is a dream come true for them. It couldn't happen without the support of the community, their teachers, and they depended on each other a lot. So it's great to see them both be able to go to school together.
Just want to say this is another Tri-Cities High School student. Go Bulldogs. And I also want to say that we have some amazing schools and some hardworking teachers. So don't believe the hype about our schools. We have some brilliant, excellent
Now y'all get to go and brag and say you have your own day here in the city of South Fulton. All right, so own it. That's right, own it. Thank you again.
Right here. 3 on 3. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. And last one for me. 1, 2.
Our last proclamation is sponsored by Mayor Pro Tem Mark Baker, a proclamation recognizing Fife Community Appreciation Day.
Could I have the representatives of the Fife community please make your way up to the front? As they come up, I would like to share a little bit about the Fife community, which is a jewel in the city of South Fulton in District 7. It's one of the oldest communities in our city, if not the oldest. They're very familiar with our mayor, clearly. And I had the opportunity to actually have a tour of this neighborhood outside of when I was just campaigning. I got to meet Miss Liz and other members of the community, and I saw actual homes that were moved back in the early 1900s, late 1800s. I mean, and to know where your great-great-grandfather's house is, I believe, a blessing, and it's something that is noted in our city. And we embrace the Fife community, and I just want to share this proclamation with you guys, and it reads, Proclamation, City of South Fulton, whereas the Fife community located 20 miles from Atlanta and 3 miles from Fairburn, and currently in the city of South Fulton, at the heart of District 7, was a thriving community in the 1800s and continued to be so until the Great Depression. Whereas there was a bank, car dealership, blacksmith, grocery store, grist and syrup mill, all within its community. Whereas one of the largest and most important general mercantile establishments in Campbell County was that of R.O. Tarpley and Son. Tarpley was one of the largest landowners in the county and one of the most progressive. Whereas in 1919, there was an article written in the Atlanta Journal describing the Fife community as a charming little rural community with good schools and churches, making it an ideal place to live, as it was also surrounded by the finest farms in this section of the state. Whereas Fife is very old, Fife is a very old, well-established community made up of families who have been there for generations. There were several homes in Fife community that were built from the 1850s to the early 1900s. Most of these homes are still occupied by descendants of the original owners. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and City Council of the City of South Fulton do hereby proclaim Tuesday, April 24th, 2018 as Fife Community Appreciation Day in the City of South Fulton, Georgia. Mr. Hyman, where is Mr. Hyman? Okay, never got to meet you directly, but I think I spoke to your wife sometime. You're Mr. Hyman. Okay, yeah, okay, all right, all right. And somebody told me why the name was Fife. Is there somebody that can share that before I get a mic to,
I can tell you that.
to the mayor?
Fife community was named whenever there was a depot there. It was a train stop, and there was a gentleman that came one day. I understand that he was actually from Scotland, and he got off at the train and he looked around and he says, "This looks just like Fife," and that was the community that he lived in Scotland. So that name stuck for our community.
Oh, that was amazing.
Y'all name was easier than ours. I just want to say, many years ago, R.T. Strong, who was the fire chief in Fulton County, and I was the commissioner, and he came to me, he said, "Bill, do you know where Fife is?" I said, "What is a Fife?" He said, "I bet you can't find 10 folk right now to tell you what Fife was." I couldn't find 100 to tell you what Fife was. But I came out to Fife, and it just is quaint. Let me tell you, they had this potluck dinner at the church. Some of the best eating you ever find. I used to tell the Lord, we're going to Fife this week. We need something to eat. But lastly, let me say this about it. They had one of the biggest environmental fights that you have probably seen in this state. Wow. They built a plant in Fife, and that plant was putting out all kinds of fumes and gases. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you, some people died because of that. But they fought, and they fought, and they fought. And the little town of Fife beat the corporate giant, and there is no longer a plant in Fife. Thank you all so much.
Ladies, you want to speak real quick?
I wasn't going to say anything. Okay. I'm sorry, I did not come prepared to say anything. My husband, let's see. I live in a house on Lee's Mill Road that was built in 1911. And my husband is a descendant of one of the, I guess, original families of Fife in the 1800s. So we still live there. We live in his granddad's house. His parents live right across the street. And we've all been there for, 100 years or so. We love our house, an old house, you know how that goes. But we have our garden every year, we have a pasture, we have a pond, and we just love our community. We love Fife so much, we came back from Wyoming to move back to Fife. So thank you so much, this is a wonderful honor. All right.
I just want to say that little story that Bill told me, he forgot to say he was instrumental in helping us do away with that little plant.
Yes.
Well, yeah. The county shut down the sewer, and it wasn't dumped in the county sewer.
Yes. All right.
Thank you.
I just want to say something short. I haven't been in Fife all my life. I'm married into it. But when he tells you about the potluck dinner at church, we still have those. And the church is still there, and everybody is welcome anytime they want to come. By the way, it's Bethany United Methodist Church. I forgot to tell you.
Here we go, on three. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And last one for me. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
All right. How long have you been?
I have been with my husband for 33 years in high school. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I got a family 1985, and a doctor built a house, and then his granddad built a house, and then.
Before we go any further, Councilman Terri, I want to make a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tomorrow is a special day. It is the birthday of our beautiful and brilliant Cascade Councilwoman, Dr. Rowell. So this card is for you. Thank you for having us.
I ain't gonna tell her age, but let y'all guess. She got great hair. Anyway. That's cold. Beautiful. Thank you. Mr. Clerk.
Okay, Mr. Mayor and members of council, you're now at the public comment portion of today's meeting. I would like to note, and Councilmember Jackson just prompted me, but that there are two portions of public comment today. So we have public comment where you can comment for 2 minutes about any matters that are related to the city, and then of course we have 2 zoning related cases later on after public comment where you will be able to speak during the public hearings. And during the public hearing period, each side will be provided up to 10 minutes each. If you're on the opposing side or the supporting side, you both get 10 minutes. So I'm kind of sifting through the cards at this time because there are a number of individuals who did sign up during the public comment request. And if by chance you don't hear your name, it's because on your card you wrote that you're here to speak about the zoning cases. So I will begin at this time calling the names. See, that's the part that
okay, no problem.
quite reconciled yet, but I have about 10 to 12 speakers.
Okay, good.
All right, Ms. Paulette Devon, Ms. Lynette Camara, Ms. Linda Pritchard, and Mr. Rick Jarvis.
Good evening. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak before the council. My name is Paulette Devon. I am a 40-plus year resident of South Fulton. Hopefully at this point, all of you have received a survey that was emailed to you in reference to the voices of the community. If you have not received it, I'll be more than happy to take care of that at a later time. The purpose of the survey is for you to hear the voices. I'm here on behalf of the concerns of Park and Recreation, and I want to share with you that if we look at the 3 bullets, Park and Recreation, Essential Public Services, I want to say that it is my opinion, my professional opinion, that we have failed in that area, in all 3 areas. We have failed our community and we have failed our youth. Why? Because we have created barriers. Barriers that include extreme expensive summer camps in a Title I community. Do the math. Not allowing the community to have access to the tennis courts, giving the tennis courts to private companies. So therefore, the community cannot afford to use the tennis courts. What is the point, tell me, of rebuilding the tennis courts if we cannot afford to use them? No partnerships with schools. I can recall living in the McNair community. The overflow at Burnett was at McNair. I can recall. You couldn't get a parking space. Now you can have the whole parking lot. As a result of not having adequate programs, we are doing a disservice to our children in reference to the scholarships. Everybody cannot receive a basketball or football scholarship. I ask you, on behalf of a parent, grandparent, concerned citizen, member of the Design Advisory Board, Parks Design Advisory Board, a person who has written over 10 grants and gotten parks constructed in Clayton County. Please help when you make your decision. If this was a school, what would you do if it was a failing school? Thank you very much. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Devon. We have a total of 11 speakers, so the next speaker is Ms. Lynette Camara, Ms. Linda Pritchard, and then Mr. Ray Jarvis. Mr. Clerk, if you constantly tell what district from or whatever. Yes, please do state what district you happen to live in. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lynette Kamar. I'm from District 7, and I am the HOA president for Pointer Ridge. And I'd like to take this time to introduce, just to present to some, introduce to others, our new board of Pointer Ridge. Would you all please stand? And we come here today to thank Mark Baker, our District 7 councilman, for coming in and swearing us in. At our last meeting on Thursday, we have made a ethic code vow to apply ourselves with and make sure that we honor that for our community. We also like to thank Captain Took. She was there to honor us as well. But we want you all to know we're here to represent Pointer Ridge and make a difference. We're on the move. Ain't no stopping us now. All right.
Good evening, my name is Linda Pritchard. I live in District 7. I first want to start by thanking the council persons that this weekend attended my mother's memorial. I want to thank my councilman for the kind letter that you read and extended to my family, Councilwoman Rosie Jackson and Councilman Khalid. My family felt that I was very loved and that my city must like me, so thank you so much for your kindness. I also wanted to talk about the survey that was shared with me by citizens in the Old National Corridor, where over 1,000 people were asked how they felt about safety, how they felt about community, the commercial businesses. And people have indicated 99% that they do not feel safe patronizing businesses on the Old National Corridor. And I'd like to ask for the council and the city to help by asking these businesses to become more invested in the community, more invested in safety, more invested in beautification and keeping it clean. Because I believe that these businesses, they make lots of money off of many of us, but it's come to the point where people actually are taking their business elsewhere. A lot of us are shopping in Fayetteville, shopping in Camp Creek, and I live off of Old National, and I think that it's a shame that sometimes we pull up to a lot of these establishments and see lots of trash, see lots of debris, see lots of loitering, lots of nonsense and foolishness. And I personally believe that it just takes a little bit more intentional effort, and that these businesses, if they are not going to keep themselves clean, then they should pay, and they should pay hefty, swift fines so they get the message. Thank you.
Mr. Jarvis, Mr. A.W. Davis, Mr. Jarman Bryant, and Ms. Vanetta Thomas. Mr. Jarvis.
Mayor and Council, thank you for this opportunity.
Mayor, you and I go way back. This past Saturday, my name's Rick Jarvis. I'm with Latham Home Sanitation. We're a third-generation garbage company. We've been in South Fulton since 1974, 44 years of service. This past Saturday, we did a Amnesty Day cleanup, part of the county, what the county's done. Mayor Edwards there and I started that 20-something years ago. And I've continued to do it every year since I've been in this county, or now city. And what I'd like to bring up is service. I'd like to compare small guys with big guys. Y'all keep talking about the one big zone. If you put this one zone, small guys are gone. I can't bid it. I can't bid it. No bank will back me. I'm a small family-owned business. The big boys are scared to death of us because we out-service them every day. That's why they're scared of us. They would like nothing better if you could do one zone and not multiple zones. The 3 points you're getting them on your ordinance, that is, if that's 3 points on a scale of 1 to 10, then that's huge. That makes them have to hire a local guy. If it's 3 points out of 100, they're going to ignore us. They're going to ignore us. We don't exist. Because they'll take their chances on their scoring with the other 97 points. That's the way it works. They'll tell you one thing, but they do another. I do work for the big boys. You know why I do work for the big boys? Because I out-service them, and they hire me to do their problems. I fix their problems, is what I do. That's why they hire me. All right, then I want to talk about the zones. You already have zones in place. I don't know why that's a problem. You have 7 council-member zones. If you want less than that, then combine, you combine 2 of them. You combine 4 of them. You can take District 1 and District 2, make it a zone. District 4 and 3, or 3 and 5, make it 1. 6 and 7, make it 1. They're already drawn. They're there. You've got the zones. So they're already in place. And the RFP, there's no reason. The RFP's already been written by Addie Goldsmith for Fulton County for multiple zones. There is no issue with that multiple zones. It's already written. She has it. So I thank you for your time. Thank you. And I'll appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Good evening, my name is A.W. Davis, I live in District 4. W.E. Du Bois said, a system that was never meant to serve you cannot fail you. What that means in essence is, capitalism is not your system. So why are you sitting around begging people for your share when your share is never going to come? If you look at the 2016-2017 Fulton County budget, you'll see that you spent almost $439 million on the criminal justice system. I'm just going to do some 5th grade math. I didn't pass 5th grade, but I'm going to do the math here. If you took 10% of that $439 million, you would be right at $44 million. As opposed to allowing the county to decide what happens as that line item is reduced. Because I'm hoping that we don't live continuously at a 50% level. Let's say, for instance, it goes down 10%. We're back to that $44 million again. If we could put that $44 million into youth programs, improving our parks, doing whatever it is that we need to do in order to build a proper infrastructure so that our children don't suffer, I guarantee you in less than 5 years we'll see a meteoric rise of our community. Everybody is thinking about private business. Private business, you have to raise money. But if you build a social infrastructure that would aid your children, you already have the money available. The only thing you have to do is reduce the amount of crime. And don't let Fulton County commandeer that money once they find out that the trend is actually reversing itself. We need to start talking to Fulton County now about what it is that we want them to do with our money when we save it. And we intend to save it because these group members and these people that are committed to it are going to give us the kind of outcome that we need, which is better kids, better supervision, and better opportunity. Enjoy the evening, and as always, may God bless each of you.
We call Mr. Jarvis Bryant and Ms. Vanetta Thomas, but if either of you are here to speak about zoning, we'll hold your card.
I'm Vanetta Thomas. I relinquish my time.
Thank you. All right, so the last 4 public comment speakers are Mr. Gary Holmes, Mr. Clyde King, Mr. Willie Joe Gamble Sr., and Ms. Glenda Collins. If all of you would please approach the podium.
carry home. Zone 3. I'm here for the zoning.
Good evening, council and the mayor. My name is Clyde King. I reside in District 6, and today I'm coming before you to talk about public safety in our community. I have resided in this community since 1985, 33 years ago, and I have seen many transitions and migrations with people in the area. Along with change comes problems with communications and caring for the community's quality of life and meaningful civil engagement. I would like to address public safety in our community and city. I've attended a few local HOAs meetings, and the most common concerns that I hear has to do with safety, trashing of the community, gang activity, gunshots, car and home break-ins. The one thing I recognize by being involved in the community, volunteering in schools, and organizing youth programs for 33 years, you cannot do it alone. Therefore, the mayor and the city council, you cannot do it alone. Without the help of the parents, young adults, senior citizens, community organizations, policymakers, public servants, businesses, students, school administrators, teachers, and churches, we must all come together on one accord and form partnerships and explore ways to resolve wide range of challenging, persistent issues. I suggest the City Council engage citizens in making decisions, solving problems, building community, and make our city a proud, safe place to live, work, and receive good education, enjoy life and people. In closing, I would, if we would agree that public engagement is productive in helping the mayor and the city council make the city of South Fulton a great place to live and work, my suggestion is to be creative in developing a process to enhance and promote public involvement through effective methods of communication. And also develop a public renters registry, which I believe you mentioned, Mayor, to create, to engage the missing population that does not attend HOAs and city council meetings. Our most important asset also in our community is our youth. They are mirrors of us. Thank you.
Chairman Bryant, will I still be able to speak later on the zoning? Yes. Okay. Okay. District 5, Chairman Bryant. At first, I'd like to thank Councilwoman Willis for having an event yesterday. It was very informative. Senator Bazemore was there. A lot of answers were.
I'm not Bazemore.
This lady right here was out there. Gave a lot of information, answered a lot of questions that people are arguing about or next door and everything else is unnecessary. The information is being put out there. We as a public and citizens are not coming to find out about it. There's an event going on tomorrow, so that's the second choice to be there, so I'd like to thank Councilman Willis on that. Now there's another thing that's coming up with the FIB. There's a lot of money involved in that, but there's a vote involved in it too. If we don't get our voting ratio up, it doesn't even make any difference whether it comes up or not. That's on us. So if we talking about millions of dollars, we're not gonna see 10 cents unless we get our voting ratio up. And this is the worst I've ever heard of. And I'd like to see the mayor sign net neutrality bill for mayors.
Thank you so much. Ms. I believe so, yes. Okay. That concludes the public comment portion of today's meeting agenda. The first item on page 2 under number 8, zoning, modifications, and variances, public hearings. First item is a request for a modification 18-001, public hearing to consider a modification request from two conditions identified in zoning case Z04-149, a staggered setback and minimum front yard setback at the Riverwalk Trace subdivision at Hill Rock Lane and Skyleaf Lane by Christopher Harris of Rivertown Road, LLC.
Greetings, Mayor and Council. This item was originally heard on March 27th and was deferred to April 10th, but the applicant has asked to have this item heard tonight. Okay?
Okay.
The applicant, Christopher Harris of Rivertown Road LLC, is requesting to modify an existing zoning case of Z04-149. He's requesting to have the stagger requirements removed from condition 3B and to reduce the minimum front yard setbacks from 20 to 5 feet. And that's listed in condition 3D. The purpose of this request is to complete the approval of complete an approved single-family subdivision. It's located in Council District 4, and the subdivision is formerly known as the Legacy at Cedar Walk. You're currently looking at an area that's identifying the existing zonings on that property. As you see, the identifying areas are red. It's the MAC001 subdivision. You'll also see that it's surrounded by single-family residential, and the property next door to it is the Cedar Grove Park. We do have a fire station located there off the Cedar Grove Road as well. That's more so the aerial so that you can see the existing conditions as they are. And I will identify that the property that we are looking at today is located here. Okay, so the property is on here. You're seeing what we did have a sign outside of the property where the applicant was required to place that sign there to notify the public of the public hearing. This is the existing conditions of the property as well. This is the site plan. You'll see that on, I believe that's lot 120 and 121. We'll come back to that, but you're seeing with the site plan that was previously approved with Fulton County. So the stagger request for condition 3B, the applicant is requesting to have the staggers removed. There are currently no homes out there now, so the stagger conditions is no precedent set, which means that there wouldn't be any homes that we would need to follow if you choose not to have that stagger requirement. The setback requirement for condition 3B. So the developer has requested a 5-foot front yard setback due to a sewer easement located on lot 121, and then he's also requested to have the remaining lots be reduced down to 10 feet. I need to also state, if I can go back, the developer is asking to develop larger homes that were formerly permitted with Fulton County. As I mentioned before in the site plan, I want to explain to you the easement request, or the easement in the rear. There's an easement back here where the applicant is asking to have the front yard setback reduced for the sake of moving the house forward. He is asking to have that lot moved to reduce from 20 feet to 5. However, you see that staff has a different recommendation. And I will show you here, this is what 20 would look like, here and here. And this is what 5 feet looks like, and this is what 10 feet looks like. Staff is recommending the approval of the stagger requirements to be removed. However, staff is requesting that the approval, if to be approved, to be modified to condition 3D to reduce from 20 to 10 rather than the 5 that was originally requested. That concludes my report.
I have one question. You said you want to remove the stagger requirement because there was no precedent?
What we're stating is there's no homes there right now where you would have to have a staggered change, because there's homes currently there now. You would have a different style there, which means you'll have 5 or 10 homes that have stagger, and then if you remove it today, the remaining of the homes would not be staggered. So what we're saying is there's no homes there now.
Well, that's more reason to stagger.
Okay.
I don't understand that one. But it's okay. I'll get it. Okay, I'll open up the, she wants you to go back to the previous slide. All right. Okay. Yeah, okay. All right, what easement is that?
That is, if I'm not mistaken, a sewer easement, not mistaken? Yes.
A county sewer, the city sewer easement? Okay. All right, I'll open public hearing.
Adkins present, if you'd like to speak.
Yes, if you would, yes, applicant would like to say something before we open the public hearing.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Battle. I'm with Battle Law. This is the first time I've had the opportunity before the city of South Fulton. So thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak this evening. I look forward to doing more work with you all in the future. Again, my name is Michelle Battle. I'm with Battle Law, and I'm representing the applicant. I guess I'll just jump right into the issues that have been raised so far. This particular subdivision, as you know, has not been built out. We believe that in large part the reason why that it didn't get built out was because of the shallowness of the lots in terms of the depth of those lots. This project has been vacant since 2007. It was placed into foreclosure. Another developer attempted to develop under the current conditions. Apparently they failed, and so at this point in time, my client, which is a subsidiary of Rockhaven Homes, has requested to be able to develop this particular project, provided that we are able to get the requested setback variances. We originally had requested that the one lot that was mentioned would be reduced to 5 feet, while the remainder of the lots would be reduced to 10 feet in terms of the front setback only. And as staff noted in their staff report, there was a question as to whether or not there would be overhang of cars into the right-of-way if, in fact, that one lot was reduced to 5 feet instead of a 10-foot setback. Having gone back and reviewed, we would ask that that particular lot, instead of being set as the same 10-foot setback as recommended by staff, that we would ask that you all consider a 9-foot setback on that one particular lot due to the sanitary sewer line that runs along the rear. And understand that part of the reason why the applicant is asking, a large part of the reason why the applicant is asking for the variances is, one, we want to make sure that we are providing a house that is comparable to the houses that are already being developed in the area. We believe that this is a very desirable area, that the size of the homes that are being built will be quickly absorbed by those who are interested in living in this particular area. And so the style and the size and the price points of the homes, again, we believe will only continue to bring economic growth and development in this particular area. By building the house in the manner and with the setbacks as proposed, this allows us to maintain the rear yard so that there's a substantial rear yard on the site, as well as being able, again, to provide a home that is comparable to the others within the neighborhood. We're looking at a minimum heated floor area of 1850 in terms of footprints of the buildings, and they would be of the homes, and they would certainly be larger in size from there. And we do have some elevations and that we can show you that gives you some sense of the types of homes that would be built on site. Again, this was rezoned to CUP for a planned community, and so the request is not inconsistent with a planned community. In a planned community, the developer comes forth and makes a proposal as to the types of setbacks and the like that they would like for a particular subdivision, as opposed to a stagnant requirement under like an R4 where the requirements are already set. The developer actually comes and asks for what they want, and the board of that time, the board of commissioners, had the ability to approve or disapprove of the particular setbacks that had been requested. So in this instance, we're asking for a modification of that original request at 20 feet to reduce it to 10. With regards to the staggering, we feel that it is quite honestly impossible for us to do the staggering, maintain the rear yards, provide a house of the size and substance that we believe would be marketable within that area and still abide by the staggering. There are certainly many subdivisions that are developed around that have a common setback along the front of the homes. There is nothing aesthetically unpleasing about that, but we certainly understand that initially there was a desire to have that staggering effect. We concur with staff that this is something, because the homes have not already been developed, that we would ask to be removed as a condition for this particular matter. And so again, we would respectfully request the approval of the application with one modification, that instead of the 10-foot setback that has been proposed by staff on lot 121, that we would actually ask for that to be at 9 feet, and the balance of the lots, and there are a total of 38 lots, the balance of those 38 lots will be at 10 feet. And we are here to respond to any questions that you may have.
Staff, could you come back to me?
The previous zoning on this particular land, did it include staggering?
It is, as a condition.
It did include staggering.
Right. Tonight's request is a modification of existing conditions.
How many homes are in this home?
I do not have the site plan before me.
Michelle, how many you have?
It's 38.
38, okay.
We got the plan. In a lot.
All right, I just want to clear this up before I bring in public comment. Okay. All right, I'm going to open. I'm going to open public comment. You have on the applicant side, how much time do you have left?
We should have 10 minutes according to rules and also. I'm sorry. Sorry, Mr. Mayor, not a customer.
4 minutes, 3 months for the applicant. Okay, go ahead, 10 minutes.
I have a document that I wish to submit for the official records. It's an official objection, so.
Are you?
Not sure.
You all are opposing?
Yeah, we're opposing it, so I just want to submit this document. Yeah. All right, Shirley, if I may, can I use one of your overhead site plans of the entire site? Go back a few slides where we can see, no, further back, that shows the entire neighborhood. Okay, you can sit there. All right, everything that was said, by the opponent sounds very, very nice. But there's only one issue. First of all, that lot has not been sitting there since 2007. It has been sitting there since 2004. Because if you notice from that overhead, there is a street that leads directly into our community, into my community, Legacy at Cedar Grove HOA. Okay? And the reason being is that I have here the plat, which shows that that section was supposed to be phase 2 of our development. So it is not totally disjointed and independent. That's not how it was originally designed. The other thing is, if you look at Spoleza Loop, which is the street above there with all the homes on it, the houses have been staggered, and the curve of the road gives some natural setbacks. Okay? So then they don't all look as if they're in one straight line. But what is being developed now for what we think is our phase 2, we don't agree by making the setback 10 feet. Even 10 feet is too small. Does anybody know the average length of a car in the US? It's about 13 feet, okay, or more, all right? And when you drive an SUV, like my big one, you're talking about 16 to 18 feet. So tell me, if I'm gonna buy a house up there, regardless of the size, how am I gonna park an SUV in the driveway without interrupting the flow of traffic, without having issues with parking on the street, without virtually no front yard? And I thought I heard before that they were asking for a setback of 5 feet in the back as well. That is up for debate. But again, that community does not have any amenities. And with reduced front yards, with reduced backyards, what are we gonna have? we're gonna have kids playing in the street. We're gonna have people parking on the street, regardless of if we just put out that ordinance, which by the way, thank you, right? But the issue really comes down to creating a safe environment in that area. And by the way, even from that, you can see the size of the streets for that subdivision compared with Spoleto Loop. So if you have parking on the street there, okay, from Skyleaf Lane, come up into this new subdivision, what are you gonna have? You're virtually gonna have blocking of the streets. So emergency vehicles, school buses, those are problems. The mail guys, problems. So if we're gonna go with what is there currently, what is being proposed, then we're gonna be creating some issues for that community. And guess what? If people don't buy these properties because they show up, they say, well, I can't park my car here. You know what's gonna happen? It's gonna become a renter's paradise because investors are gonna come in, they're gonna buy these things on the cheap, and then they're gonna put them on the market for rent. Okay? And that creates another set of issues for not only my community, but it's gonna create issues for the city. So I'm asking you guys tonight to take a good look at this. Let us get a chance to go back to the table with the developer and let us figure this out. Because I spoke to Ms. Reed last week, and one of the things that we discussed was the whole issue of the public meetings. I didn't hear about a public meeting. I happened to be sitting in a regional meeting at City Grove when I heard something, and I said, I need to look into this. Okay? So if I was not present at that one meeting, I would not, as the HOA president, I would not have known that there was an issue going on in this development. Okay? And what I was told is that the quarter-mile radius starts from the center of the area being developed. And if you don't live within that quarter-mile radius, it doesn't matter if it affects you. You don't get a meeting notification. So that's one of the things I'm gonna plead with the city to look at that policy too. Because if it affects you, you should get a fair chance, not only to attend the meeting, but you should have a fair chance in terms of how it's been advertised so that you can attend and register your objections. Okay, thank you. I'll just yield the rest of the time to a few of the folks who are here.
I'll take care of it, Jason.
Okay, thank you.
Once again, my name is A.W. Davis. I live in District 4. I live right down the street from there. I'm going to drive that street on my way home. My house is 1,800 square feet. When my wife is home, it's overcrowded. 1,850 square feet is not a lot of living. When you use the word bigger homes, I'm expecting for you to be talking about at least 3,000, 2,500 square feet. And especially in that area, if you go right now and do a site review of that area, what you will find is that the driveway that empties out into Rivertown Road actually has an incline. So that the person that's driving from their home in this subdivision, he or she is going to reach a point where they're actually going to have to go up and then come down. That's going to be a problem. Because for some people, and I know that they aren't here tonight, but for some people, they don't have any respect for speed. So that means by the time they hit that incline and try and come down, they're going to be in the middle of Rivertown Road. God forbid if it should be one of my cars. I'm serious. I'm not even thinking about playing. Because number one, it's a hazard, and anybody other than Ray Charles can see it. You know for a fact that it's going to be a hazard. Because number one, Rivertown Road has a bend in it. And at that point is where the bend begins to be re-emphasized. A person that's coming out and having to turn left is going to have difficulty trying to see what's coming from their right, which is those that's coming from Ono Road, which is where I live. I'm very concerned about where I live. A lot of people like to say, well, you always talking about you. My mama didn't have one child. If I'm not concerned about me, I can't look forward to you looking for me. And I grew up in the streets of man, we look out for each other. And we look out for ourselves. Don't get it twisted. When I say we look out for ourselves, that's exactly what I mean. We need to begin to think in terms of not just making money, but how do you make people comfortable where they live? There's a whole neighborhood that's been there since 2012 when they began to try and make a correction because they ran out of money due to the 2008 recession. truth be told. But we need to begin to kind of somehow or another review what it is that we intend to do, other than just have neighborhoods that are being filled up with funny style houses. Some of them may be appealing, but when the larger picture is reviewed, we're going to have the potential for a neighborhood that's disjointed, has no community activism, because everybody basically is trying to feel their way through a community that was wrongly built. We have an opportunity to correct that so that we don't have to suffer through that process that's going to yield up that kind of a result. I don't have any problem with the developer, but the problem is that everything can't go in our area. We just can't put everything in our area. I just can't see it. I pick up paper because I don't like walking trash. I don't go to nightclubs because I don't like people around me that have bad habits. Certainly I'm not going to have people living in my neighborhood that have bad habits. So I'm simply asking you all to start now and keep us from having to reach a point where we begin to be hazards as opposed to being homeowners. Thank you so much. Enjoy your evening.
Good evening, Brother Mayor and Council, Reverend Jeffrey Benoit, President of Proclamation, Chapter of the National Action Network, Civil Rights. One of the things that I often pay attention to is zoning. Zoning is often altered, much like a contract, for the benefit of the author, not the consumer. In other words, the residents that may buy that. They buy it unknowingly because they buy it with excitement and enthusiasm, first-time homeowner, that type of enthusiasm. They only get a chance to look at what they bought when they get a chance to live there and say, wait a minute, the street's too small. Fire engines can't get down the street. You know what I'm talking about. You can't park on the streets, people have to give you tickets. You know what I'm talking about. What am I saying? When they are offering and asking for these variants, these are not the people who's going to buy these houses. They're not going to buy them, they're going to sell them, and they're going to be gone. Who's going to be stuck with them? That lonely, only homeowner who had no idea until they had a chance to what? Experience them. We're going to experience them right now. So my question is, has anyone walked that particular subdivision that they're speaking about? Oftentimes, in order for me to get a good idea of my conversation and my argument, I put eyes on the side, eyes on the prize. And so if you haven't, I invite you to do so. But we cannot make decisions based on rhetoric, because we're going to give you the best pitch we possibly can. It's going to be beautiful, it's going to be opulent, everybody's going to want to be there, and it's going to be something that's going to make the community look that much better. That's what I'm going to give you. What it actually do is probably totally different. So I say go and take a look at it first, but I would ask that you vote this down because, again, the people who's going to buy it are not aware.
Okay, that concludes the time for the opposition. Does the other side want to rebuttal? Now, they use your time up.
It was going to be short.
I would like to reply. First and foremost, I have had the opportunity to walk this property and also to look at the buffers and the trees that surround the perimeter. As you can see on the site plan that you, on the map that you have above you, there was a part of the prior zoning, there was a requirement of a 50-foot buffer, undisturbed buffer green space alongside the eastern perimeter of the property. So that's an area that those homeowners will not be able to utilize. It's not really a part of their yard. That will be a part of the HOA. That leaves them with nothing more than a 20-foot rear yard. And so what we are trying to do is to be able to a certain extent, push that house up slightly so that there's a little bit more room in the back, number one. Number two, that moving that up to 10 feet, as staff indicated in the staff report, does not result in cars overhanging into the sidewalk area, as has been suggested. In fact, what staff indicated, and we concur, is that the average car and the way that the Fulton County setback requirements are that you all adopted requires that there be at least 18 feet for cars that will be parked in that front area. And in fact, we do meet that requirement, and staff has reconfirmed that. So we believe that there is sufficient area to allow for a car to be located within that front area. Secondly, with regards to the one lot that we asked to go down to 5 feet, we've conceded that we would request that 9 feet, and by requesting the 9 feet, we wanted to hold to the ability to have that 18 feet in car length, whether it be a regular car or an SUV, that will be able to be in that yard, on that pad, without, again, hanging over into the intersection. With regards to the house size, what I indicated was that the footprint and the minimum square footage for the homes would be 1850. The actual average size of the home will be roughly 2,800 square feet in size. So we're looking at 2-story homes of a substantial size that would allow for a lot of particular millennials these days who are not necessarily as interested, and even for someone, not a millennial, I don't want to call myself quite a senior yet, but I'm really not down for doing a lot of grass cutting myself, even though I have grass to cut. And so that is one of the other components here, that the front yard area will still be sufficient, but still allow again for a rear yard that is actually usable by those who would be purchasing those homes. I don't see that there's any more opportunity for people to park on the street in this subdivision there is in any of the other subdivisions within the area. When people have company and excess company, yes, people will park in the street, but these street widths are the required width. This is a 50-foot wide street, so it is being built at public street specs. So again, we would respectfully request the approval of the application to the extent that there's a desire for a meeting with the city council member and community members in order to discuss this. We certainly would be happy to do so, but again, we would ask for the application to be approved. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm going to conclude the public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to hold it and have some discussion.
Second.
Properly moved second. Any discussion, any further discussion? Yes, all right.
Well, I'm really familiar with this subdivision as well. It's right down the street from where I live. And I do know that it's been vacant for a long time. And as the plat that you saw a few minutes ago, it is the continuation of a subdivision that has staggered homes. Not only that subdivision, but there are 6 subdivisions around it that all have staggered homes. So this would really be a big difference just in terms of the aesthetics. And it would change, it might not, I read in here somewhere where it said, it doesn't change the character of these 38 homes, but it changes the character of the area because it's about more than just the 38 homes. So that's a sticking point for me. And then the other one is that just the setback change. And so I think that it would really be to the benefit of the developer to sit down, especially with the community that it is a part of. It's not by itself. It is a part of, because you saw the street. It goes right into the Cedar Grove community. We sit down and have a discussion about it. And then the Rivertown Mill community is right next door to it. And they would be impacted by it as well. So that's all I think.
I have a question. The community information meeting, the notice only being sent to a quarter-mile radius, I got complaints that residents
in the area really wasn't notified about the community information meeting. Who's, the city, are you responsible or the developer's responsible for sending that information out? The developer?
No, we are, for the CZIM. Then the developer has his own public participation plan meeting, and only 3 people showed up today.
Right, I saw that. And then the city had one?
Yes.
Which was the zoning board?
Yes.
Yeah, the zoning board. And then it was advertised in the daily?
No, that's, the CZIM is not advertised, it's not required to be advertised. The public hearings are required to be advertised. We send out notifications to individuals who sign up for that information, which you get in emails from me. That's how they're being notified with the CZIM meetings. And we also post it at City Hall.
Okay. All right.
Let me,
I just had a question. First of all, shout out to Tony Phillips. We actually saw this neighborhood on the Parks tour. It's right across the street from Cedar Grove Park. But I'm a little confused in the terminology. I've heard 10 feet, I've heard 18 feet. How long are the driveways?
Okay, so when you're considering the right-of-way, you're hearing those numbers included, because the right-of-way is at least 10 feet from the back of the curb. So if you're adding that in, it doesn't allow for an extension of the 10 feet. So if you're hearing 18 feet, that's because it also includes the right-of-way for the driveway.
So are you saying the shortest distance of any driveway in any house in this subdivision will be 18 feet?
I'm saying that if you go back to your staff report on page 4, it states that it'll be 18 to 19 feet and allow an ample amount of time or space for cars for the driveway.
That's every house?
If it goes for the 10 feet that you're saying.
thank you. Okay, that includes sidewalk?
Yes.
Sidewalk is a part of that calculation? Right.
Yes.
Yes.
No, it's not.
Okay, hold on. Let me just say a couple things that I feel. Number one is, my son and my daughter live right behind me in Rivertown, in Mill. And I'm gonna tell you, I have never been a proponent of a development that does not do staggered setbacks. Because if you don't do staggered setbacks, what you're gonna have is a bunch of row houses. I mean, and it's unattractive. You look down and see everybody's house going the same way. And so I've never been a proponent here, and never, since I was commissioner, I just think that it's just staggered setbacks add character to the community. The other thing I'm concerned with is when I ask the question, does that include the sidewalk? Now that's problematic for me. Because if you include the sidewalk, we're trying to make people walk in their communities. I ain't going around no car.
And I was incorrect in that answer.
Yes.
I stated that it does not include the sidewalk.
It does not include
Yes.
the sidewalk.
I said
So
that.
taking the sidewalk out, how many feet? you say?
18 to 19 feet.
And the sidewalk will be a part of our right of way.
Correct. Well, the sidewalk, the way that it works, if I'm not mistaken, the right-of-way and the sidewalk has its own calculation. So if you go from the curb, the back of the curb, it does include that. So it has a different. I don't have the site plan. Do you have
Okay, no problem. And then I gotta agree with my homeboy, Mr. Davis. I really thought when they said he's floor plan, I really was waiting for something. Yeah, I really did. And when she said 1850, I got kind of discouraged. But we're gonna have to make sure that when we build and people come to our community, that they're enhancing our community, making our communities better. There are a lot of people who come to our community looking for a better home at a better price. We have to offer them that. There's some place somewhere we got to offer them more for their money. So, any more discussion? Ms. Rowell?
I just would ask in the future that to give context the size of the subdivision as well as the information relative to schools. And so my question really deals with how do we coordinate with schools so they understand the possibility that you could have an influx, because these are family-sized houses.
So we sent out our staff reports to the public schools. You see that there's a comment that no comments were provided back. So again, if you look at your staff comments, there's at least 7 or 8 different areas that we send comments to. If no comments are provided back, we do not have comments to provide to you.
But they are provided.
But yes, ma'am.
And Ms. Rowell, that's why our school system is not prepared for the influx of children. Because we send them information as to what's going on, and I don't know if they listen to it or not. And then before you know it, you got trailers at your school. All right, so hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of hold? Okay, that passes unanimously. Ms. Burke? I think it's good.
Mayor, as far as clarification purposes for the applicant, this hold is, could the council clarify that this hold is until the next available zoning calendar?
I assume, I'm sorry, Council.
And that's a correct
I think
assumption?
was that your assumption?
Yes.
Yes. To next,
Thank you.
next week.
The next item is Roman numeral 2 under 8A, request for zoning Z18-002 applicant, public hearing to consider a rezoning from O&I to C2 for property located at 3725 Flat Shoals Road within District 5.
Now, before you start, I want 2 things clarified so that everybody will know. One is that you're using the land use plan that we adopted from Fulton County.
Correct.
Okay. The second thing is that this is a rezoning map.
Correct.
All right? Now, when I say that we don't zone buildings, we zone land. All right? So just want to make that clear.
Okay. Tonight, the applicant for the request tonight is Quick Trip Corporation. They're requesting to rezone the property from O&I with conditions to C2, which is commercial. O&I, of course, is office and institutional district. This property has 3 parcels. They're identified as 3725 Flat Shoals, 6265 Buffington Road. It's located within District 5. Here you're seeing an aerial to identify the existing zonings for the South Fulton area. You're going to have...
1 second. Will everybody please take their cell phones, and turn them off or turn them silent, please. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. The properties identified in yellow are the subject properties that will be requesting the zoning change tonight. They're identified as office and institutional as identified earlier. To the north of it is an adjacent C2 property, which is also what the property is being requested to have. Therefore, we're not having spot zoning. It's immediately adjacent to a C2 piece of land. And you'll also see there's industrial to the north, and then to the south of that is O&I. Surrounding properties, as far as in other jurisdictions, they have areas as office and institutional or residential. All right, this aerial is showing how it has proximity to I-85. You'll see that it falls off of Flat Shoals and Buffington Road. The comprehensive plan identifies this area as community live work, and C2, C1 mixed use, O&I are uses within the community live work district. This is an existing area of Emmaus Road Baptist Church. It has a identification sign, of course, to identify that the public hearing will be held on X dates. This is another area within the right of way. These are the 2 existing properties that has daycares located there. Those are the other 2 properties in addition to the church. And this is another angle. So here on the site plan, it shows that there will be at least 2 accesses for cars as far as passenger vehicles. One along Buffington, which is on the front portion here, and then another entrance here on Flat Shoals. The rear portion here will be for the use of trucks. There is a diesel pump area here. And of course, there is the Quick Trip location there, the actual facility. Okay. So here is an illustration of the proposed development and how it will look. Here is another aerial, an aerial illustration of the design portion, as you can see the design of the structure. So the comp plan does designate this area as community live work As I mentioned before, C2 is an area that does allow for such zonings. Service stations are permitted in C2, truck stops are not. This will not be considered a truck stop by the definition that we use for Fulton County zoning codes. Transportation, this is a major intersection. There's multiple MARTA stops located here as well, with existing sidewalks as well as planned / proposed. Existing conditions for each property restricts the use of a daycare. So that means that the existing condition means that only a daycare can go on this property. If not rezoned, of course, North Bean could go as a daycare. The existing areas subdivision, the service stations, the other areas within there does not have diesel pumps, meaning the other gas stations nearby would not have diesel pumps, and this would be the only one. Property is contiguous to existing C2 zoning, as I mentioned before. It does not provide for a spot zoning. It will comply with the existing Old National Overlay District. And strong community support was provided within the CPIM meeting. The truck ordinance, however, does restrict this route. It does include both Buckingham and Flat Shoals Road as a restricted route within our truck ordinance. Based on the comprehensive plan and the zoning resolution, staff is recommending approval. During the planning commission meeting of April 3rd, they also recommended approval based on staff's recommendations. That concludes my report.
Okay, I'll open the public hearing. All those who are speaking for on this side, all those speaking against on this side. Is there any opposition? Y'all better come on up there. Get on the side. Yeah. I can tell the opposition, they got no on this shit. All right, the ones who are speaking for, get on this side. The ones speaking against. Okay. Okay, go ahead, Jeff.
Can you advise us whether or not my time for rebuttal will be needed for those who are still speaking in support, or is my 10 minutes separate from the 10 minutes for the
Your 10 minutes
support?
separate from me.
Okay.
Mayor, can you be clear about how much the individual have?
They got 10 minutes.
Each
Exactly. They got 10 minutes. They got 10 minutes. Do you understand? You all have 10 minutes. Opposition, and those who are for, you all have 10 minutes.
In total.
It doesn't matter. They got 10 minutes. Okay, good. Some most of them not. Okay, go ahead, Michelle.
Okay. Again, my name is Michelle Battle with Battle Law here representing QT. I've got with me tonight Mike Burke, who is one of the real estate managers with QT. You also may have met Will Ballard as well as Ben Qualls. The four of us have exclusively been working on this on behalf of QT. We've had the opportunity to go to the site and to review the site. We believe that this is an amazing opportunity to place a quality QT facility. I hope that all of you all have had the opportunity to go to a Q and to experience the QT customer service as well as the quality of the facilities that they build. We believe that they bring something positive to communities when they come because of the very high standards that QT has. I know very few people who don't go to QT when they have the opportunity to participate in not only buying gas there, but also their hot food items, their coffee, their other beverages, their convenience items, their clean bathrooms and the like. Those are all things that we believe are positives that are needed in communities, particularly when you do have a number of other gas stations. There's no question that has been pointed out. There are other gas stations in the area, but those gas stations are not at QT. Most of those are owned, family-owned type stores where those that are employed are a part of their family or other network. The beauty of QT is that in connection with the development of this particular site, they will be looking to hire anywhere from 20 to 30 employees at this particular location. There's opportunity within that for growth and within the corporate structure. Their average full-time associate's salary is roughly $36,000. They offer benefits as well. So those are jobs, real jobs that will be coming into this area, along with the increase in property value for this particular site, which would result in additional property taxes as well as sales tax revenues, all of which would generate roughly over $3.5 million a year in annual revenue to the city. We believe that this QT facility at this particular location is appropriate based on the modifications that are going to be made, particularly to the intersections. While it is no question that the truck route ordinance was approved by this city council, that does not actually prohibit trucks from coming. It has simply provided certain restrictions on trucks that would be allowed in the area. But it should be known that with regards to the area that will be utilized by trucks that have been set aside as separate bays, that we are looking at not only tractor trailers, but the type of trucks that you would have for deliveries, 27-foot trucks, 18-foot box trucks, recreational vehicles, buses, dump trucks, flatbeds, pump trucks, tow trucks, panel trucks, crane trucks. All of those are trucks that are allowed within the area when they are servicing people or different types of projects that are located within the area. And all of those, at some point in time, need gas. And we want people to be able to not only obtain that gas and obtain those convenience items, but to do it in a manner, in a place that is safe. We believe that QT offers some of the best security that you will find with regards to a convenience store type environment, and based on some comments that have been received from the community, it will start with a parole officer, someone that will be there in order to parole the facility initially, and they will make a decision from there as to how much of that will be necessary on an ongoing basis. So the safety of its customers is very important. Also, you should note that QTs are safe houses. If you didn't know that, I actually didn't find that out until I started working with them, that if you have someone that is in trouble, that they find themselves running from someone who is abusive or some type of situation such as that. They even had people that have come up that have been locked in a car that have ran into the QT store. Their employees are actually trained to handle those situations, to take them into a safe space, and to call local police until they arrive in order to help that individual. So they really do try to provide a service to the community in addition to all of the philanthropic endeavors that they do, including large contributions to Urban United Way and other facilities that also support the surrounding community. When we look at this particular site, there are a couple of things that I would like to point out. There is a truck, excuse me, a warehouse facility that was actually approved by the Fulton County Board of Commissioners a couple of years ago that is now actually under development. It's over 400 square feet. Those trucks will be coming down and have a right to come down Buffington Road to get to the intersection here. Additionally, any trucks that are located here that are going to, as they say in the truck ordinance, their final destinations where their resting spot overnight, also have a right to utilize these intersections. So there will still be truck traffic that will be engaged in this area. And we believe that because of that, even though the Fulton County Board of Commissioners did not require at that time, we will be making significant improvements to the intersection at Buffington Road and Flat Shoals. These improvements will be made in conjunction with the improvements that are going to be made by the Majestic, even though I understand that the truck route was a large part also intended to prohibit their trucks from coming down. But the bottom line is they are still going to be required under their DRI to make those improvements that Greta required for that intersection. We are going to be making those comparable improvements on the other side of Buffington Road, which was not required. Theirs were only going to benefit Union City. This will benefit South Fulton. Additionally, the Circle K that's across the street, well, that's in Union City. All of its revenue, all of its challenges, all of its problems goes to Union City. But this corner is the one corner that actually belongs to South Fulton. And it is here where you would have the opportunity to not only have the revenue that is generated from this site, but to control the type of use that is here. The C2, we believe, is an appropriate zoning for this property, as staff has already indicated. It is a permissible zoning within the community living land use designation. There are properties immediately north of this site that are already zoned C2. As currently zoned, I'd like to make this last point. As currently zoned, this property really has no use as currently zoned, and the reason for it is this simple. The current improvements, in order for them to be converted as initially anticipated in the 2016 rezoning, would require the current owner to make in excess of $2 million worth of improvements to the property in order to get it in conformity with both state and local regulations to be able to operate a daycare out of this facility. Note that they have a daycare across the street, and this site actually has 2 daycares already located on it. It almost becomes daycare corner. The issue here is that even the existing improvements, if the daycare, which they've already indicated they cannot utilize this property, they can't even use it as a church because of the restrictions that are currently on this site. It has been restricted for the use as a daycare facility only. Therefore, leaving it as it is means that no church, nothing else is going in there. The only thing that can go in there is another daycare. And the likelihood of that happening, quite honestly, is slim to none. And so this property currently has no economic value as currently zoned based on what it will entail in order to convert it for use into a daycare facility. So we are asking to convert this property into something that will be beneficial to the surrounding community, that will generate significant revenue. We know that there are those here that are in opposition. Some have asked, well, you met with Councilmember Jackson and we told you that we didn't want it, so why are you here? Because every person, regardless of whether one likes it or not, we have an opportunity and the right to avail ourselves of this process and to bring this before this city council and for you all to make a decision one way or the other with regards to this application. We would have loved the opportunity to have met with many of you all to discuss whatever questions or concerns that you all have. For reasons beyond my control, that was we were not availed of that opportunity. But if, in fact, you all want to meet with us further to discuss issues that have been raised throughout this process, we would be happy to do so. We want to be extremely transparent about this process and to, quite honestly, address any issues that have come up because of confusion and other things that have arisen that were not as a result of things that came either from myself, Mike Burke, Will Ballard, or Ben Qualls. If it didn't come from one of the 4 of us, then it didn't come from QT. Those are things that we certainly were working cooperatively with the owner and the owners of the property in this community that are so passionate about trying to achieve this rezoning for this particular piece of property. But to the extent that there's any specific things that you all wanted to ask QT about with regards to this, we would certainly be happy to meet about that. And so with that, I respectfully request either approval or a deferral of this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, saying that you was always 10 minutes up.
It was you told me I had my own and that they had 10.
You have your own, they have theirs.
No, that's not what you said. That's
what you said.
I asked you, I specifically asked if I had 10 minutes on my own. And you indicated that they had 10 minutes as well. That's the only reason why I took the fast position.
Y'all are supposed to be on my side.
Well, I'm just saying, that's what you
said. Let's do this. To be fair, because everybody will get 10 minutes now. Let's be fair and I'll allow 5 minutes on the other side. That's what he is.
You want to change in the middle?
Excuse me. Everybody was that?
You said 10 minutes each side there, Edwards, and you told Michelle she had her own 10 minutes.
Well, sit down and let us do this. All right? What? Huh? Excuse me. That's what I'm trying to get you. All right. We're going to give it. I can't hear you. All right. Okay. Come. The board wishes to give you your full 10 minutes on this side. And then we have to also invite them on this side. I'm sorry.
For clarity, it's just 10 minutes, meaning everybody doesn't have 10 minutes.
Yeah, everybody. You got 10 minutes.
10 minutes in total.
10 minutes. So Do you want to do it on rebuttal, or do you want to wait? Okay, go ahead.
Are we switching every rule that they asked for?
Now, we made a mistake, we're trying to make it right, okay?
Well, they shouldn't have the last say.
What now?
They shouldn't have the last say then.
You got, no. We got the last say. The thing is that I'm using their 10 minutes for a rebuttal, okay? All right, so you can go ahead and start your 10 minutes.
Okay. First, I like this. That was very well stated for a business. But we're not a business. We're people that live in the area. There's already 7 stations within 1.5 miles of my house. I live in District 5, Sable Glen. There is but I just don't understand the rush. I think there's an ordinance that Councilwoman Gilliard has as far as the health control and the environmental impact. And the environmental impact. I've sent everybody in here 6 studies that were done by scientists, and it tells you about the effect of health it has on the children and the people that live near residents that live near filling stations. And so everybody has that. I didn't search for negative responses. I just searched for what is the impact of filling station. And I know 8, it has to be super high. There is a federal guidelines in terms of where you can put a school. I guess they can think about in terms of putting this substance in diesel fuel after the school is already made. And there's many schools around the area. And I'd like all the whole council just to go to the corner of Buffington and Flat Shoals. You will see 4 stations. Even those who wear glasses will see 4 stations because they're just on the side of the of 85. Then, like I said, there's 7 in a mile and a half. That's on the health side. I think that it should be environmental study when we live in these areas. So like when it was found how toxic waste was buried in our communities. Beyond that, we talk about the charter. In the charter, Article 1, Section 1.12, it states the power of the city will be construed liberally in favor of the city. City power shall include, but not limited to the following: air, water pollution, and environmental issues. That's Section 112. To regulate the emission of smoke and exhaust, which we're talking about diesel fuels coming. I mean, it's a good business plan because you got the warehouse coming across the street, but it's not good for the community. Then still Section 1.12, line 81, to protect and preserve the natural resources, environment, and vital areas of the city. Have we even addressed that? We have to protect ourselves for health reasons. And I'm close to that, but I think you got that is in the charter. We can't ignore that.
Mayor Edwards and the council persons, thank you. My name is John Jones. I live in the 5th District at 750 New Magnolia Court. And much of what was just said kind of took my words from me. But I did want to ask a question. Now, I'm a homeowner within 1.5 miles of that location. And I want to know what are the added values to that property that they're going to add with a service station that's going to make my home values go up? And how, and if there was any kind of environmental impact study that was done. If it was, I'm not aware of it. And I'm a homeowner association president. We were not contacted to let us know that there was going to be an environmental study, to let us know and have a voice in this. I was not contacted. Now the study, what I'm worried about is the road, the increased traffic, the increase on the wear and tear on the highways at that location. If you've ever been out there between 4 and 6 o'clock in the afternoon at that location, between Buffington Road and Flat Shoals Road and 85, you're going to see a nightmare. And I can't imagine having trucks, whatever extra traffic coming to get gas and so forth to add to that mix. The air quality, I'm worried about the air quality. I'm worried about the noise. We're not that far away. We can hear these trucks and things when they're turning around. But anyway, I'm not going to take all the time, but I would really wish you would reconsider that area, the people who want to build there, that they would use it for something more beneficial to the neighborhood, like a new police precinct, to be exact, for South Fulton. I would love to see one like that. And an international food market. This is what we need to add value to the area. Thank you.
Let me say the ones that you may want to close some of your time for rebuttal. So just consider that.
My name is Eleanor Ross, and I'm a resident of District 5, having lived in the area for the past 25 years. I appear before you this evening to emphatically express opposition to the rezoning request by QT. While there are a myriad of reasons why such an establishment would be a detriment to the quality of life for citizens in this community, among them is a laundry list of health risks due to the environmental hazards that are inherent in the fuel emissions that they bring. But most horrendous is its proclivity to add human trafficking in a city already plagued by such repugnant and demoralizing activity. The National Human Trafficking Hotline has noted that truck fueling stations and truck stops such as these are an ideal venue for traffickers seeking to profit from exploiting victims. Sex trafficking occurs most often at truck fueling stations and truck stops in the United States due to their locations and their transient customer bases. Authorities also confirm that human trafficking is the fastest growing criminal activity in the United States, and Metro Atlanta has the dubious distinction of being among the top cities in the country. Law enforcement officials add that Metro Atlanta's reputation for having one of the world's busiest airports, being a convention city, and having a growing entertainment industry makes it a prime location for what is called modern-day slavery. Saying yes to a QT truck stop just miles from the airport, right off the interstate in a city already plagued by high human trafficking activities is your stamp of approval and a resounding yes that the city of South Fulton endorses this tragic trade and wants to be a part of the problem without seeking other solutions to generate revenue. Trafficking utilizes truck stops and fueling stations as a venue for commercial sex, frequently move their victims from city to city, using the truck stops and fueling stations as an exclusive marketplace as one of the many venues to maximize profit. Trafficking is frequently advertised through their CB radios, so in spite of having security, it goes undetected. It's under the radar because the advertisement is concealed through slang and code specific to the trucking industry. On-site buyers signal that they want commercial sex using their headlights or stickers on their truck windows. Commercial sex is also advertised online, where buyers search web-based truck boards. It happens right under the nose of the operators without their knowledge. Please know that your responsibility to govern and vote has implications beyond any revenue to be generated. You have a moral obligation to be your brothers, sisters, and children's keepers. Please say no.
My name is Glenda Collins, Fairwood, Morning Creek Drive, 5th District. I am totally opposed to the trucks. It appears to me that QT has a crystal ball and they can tell us that the property is invaluable and never value anything. I think that our mayor and council and the citizens of the city of South Fulton should be able to make that decision. And also, we were shown an interest on flat shows. And I want to know, is that a GDOT cutout or is that a city cutout? Also, on the map, it did not show where the trucks would be fueling. It showed everything else, but where the trucks would be fueling in that QT service station. Do y'all see it? No. Your time has been up. Okay.
Go ahead.
This is Pritesh. I'm actually one of the owners across the street, Chevron. And unlike what they said, we do have truck fueling bays. So we are able. So we do have truck fueling bays at that location. So we are able to provide that service there. We also have invested a lot of money in building that site out in order to provide additional revenue, plus a restaurant and everything else. And unlike what they say, we do employ people that are within our community, and we do support the local community as well, including Banneker High School. So, I want to make sure, and you are aware of that even though we are a small facility, we do support the local community. All right. Thank you.
inform you that this side has a minute or left for rebuttal. At this time, go right ahead.
They should get 10 more minutes.
Yeah, but minute or left for rebuttal.
Are we ready?
Go ahead.
You ready?
Mayor, Council, how you guys doing?
Good.
All right, so I'm Rashad Ritchie, and I do a few things in the community. I'm a media personality, college professor, but nothing more important than what I do as a community advocate. Let me be very brief and simple. About 2 months ago, listeners called my show, 2 of them, and they had a concern. Their daycare was closing down, Leapfrog Early Learning Academy. I decided to actually go to the Learning Academy because I assumed something else was happening that wasn't. When I got there, the owner of the academy informed me of what really went down. Basically, they made a bad business deal, and they were looking for an opportunity to sell a property. However, the property was not zoned at all for commercial use. They have about 50 or 60 days left of operational capital. I also looked at their books because my production team is very strong. Before I say anything about it on there, I have to know exactly what's going on. This is the largest after-school tutorial program in the region. I met the children. I saw over 100 children when I went. They service 188 children per week. I spoke to the parents, those that called me and those that I met at the daycare. As a government, you guys are tasked with this unbelievable responsibility to consider everything. You not only have to consider the zoning opportunity, but also the children that are across the street. And I do not covet your position. But when I waited honestly and personally, I don't stand for QT. I do stand for a common sense business solution for them to have a zoning permit so that the property can be sold. That's what I stand for. I think it's a good business deal, and I think it's a workable solution on both sides. That's my time.
It's an honor to be here in front of you guys. Thank you. My name is Jit Vaith. I'm one of the owners of Leapfrog Early Learning Academy. And we originally bought the church to expand our daycare services there in 2016. The problem was that our architects told us a certain amount it would cost to get it fixed, and the estimates came back at 3 times that amount, almost $2 million, which has rendered that building completely useless. So really, we're stuck with a property that has no economic use to us. We can't do a thing with it. There's no daycare that's going to come across the road. We've had it on the market for 2 years, and not one single offer. There's been a lot of misinformation out there been put out. We've had no other offer except Quick Trip, and we consider that a blessing because they've been able to take over our mortgage if this deal goes through. But that's the story about this, and we made a mistake in terms of doing this, but our intention was good. Our intention was to help more children in the community. We've been here 10 years. We've helped thousands of children in the community, and we employ over 30 women. Most of these women are single moms, and we currently have 188 children. 98% are African American, 82% are single mothers, 76% are living in poverty. These are the parents that we have at our daycare. So, and we're also the highest paying in the area. We pay more to our staff than any other daycare in the area, but we also charge the least amount. So that tells you our margins are very, very tight. So us having to support that church and pay the monthly fee, the mortgage and the property tax is breaking us. We don't have much time to survive. And I don't like asking for things generally, but I just want a fair shake. I feel like we have the right, we've earned the right to be in the community for 10 years. We've served the community well. We even have a charity in Haiti that we opened up, 68 children who are products of rape. We have a sister school in Haiti, and it's not just any city in Haiti, it's the most dangerous school in Haiti. And we wanted to go and shine light in that dangerous city. So we're not just about a regular daycare, we do much, much more than that. I'm conscious of the time, but I know everyone's against trucks in this community, and I get that, but don't make QT the scapegoat. Nobody likes the warehouses, we don't like the warehouses, but that's not what the problem is. The QT is not a destination, they are servicing the existing traffic already there, and that's really important. Another point is, Union City's across the road. I've heard that as a plan B, QT is in talks with that other corner. So worst case scenario, they could be here anyway with no tax revenue, but you'll have no daycare and another empty building. So why not approve this and save the daycare? That's what I'm saying. can you please stand up right now so everyone can see? Okay, these are some of the hardest working women in the entire community in South Fulton. They work at Left's office, the most least appreciated profession in the United States is early child care. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
It's an opportunity, it's a wonderful opportunity to stand before you. My name is Rowell Delagrantis. I am a teacher at Leapfrog for 6 years. I live in District 5, and I just want to speak on behalf of the children. They brought children before Jesus for him to touch them. And the disciples, the knowledgeable ones said, oh, get them back, move, move. But Jesus said, suffer the little children to come unto me and forbid them not, for of such is the kingdom. The children that I teach every day, that we teach every day, we're crying out for them tonight. Consider that.
Good evening. Thank you all for being able to allow me to be able to speak behalf of you. I am a parent. My daughter has attended Leapfrog since she was 1. She is now 4, so I've been an active parent, and I live in District 5. Leapfrog has not only just been a daycare to it, I have seen the hard work of the teachers and the owners, staff to supply the kids and provide for them in and out of hours of daycare. I do speak on behalf of the kids as well to help the daycare to supply the resources needed for their facility. They have been a strong provider within the community, and I do stand for Leapfrog.
Please state your name.
My name is Jamesina Crawford.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Diane Matthews, and I am a resident, proud resident of District 2 in our new city of South Fulton. I speak to you today solely as an individual, not representing my organization, but representing myself. I have been affiliated with Leapfrog Academy for many years now. I know the owners, I know their heart. I've seen their commitment to this community of South Fulton County. And they have proven themselves over and over again that they care about our community. Thus is illustrated by all these wonderful mothers here whose kids are benefiting from the services they provide. In my life, my business side of my life, I have done nothing through the years except try my best to bring in quality businesses into our community of South Fulton County. We, at one point, had to beg and plead quality businesses to come here to South Fulton. And I know most of you have been in that fight, and you know that as well as I do. I'm not waving a banner for Quick Trip any more than any other quality gas station. But this is a quality business. And this is what our community needs. It provides a lot that other gas stations do not. Just because some people paint it as a truck stop, it is not. It is a gas station that all of us need. And I tell you, I know that if I have a choice of where I'm going to go, that's one of the ones that I'm going to go to. So I am just urging you to please consider all of this. What is good for our community? What is good for the revenue, tax revenue for the city of South Fulton that we will lose if it doesn't come here? And also think about QT's commitment to stopping sex trafficking. Let's remember that. It's something to consider, and we just urge you to really consider this carefully and just base it on the facts and not on the hype. Thank you.
You on reserve? The rebuttal, you have a minute, and those who are against, you have a minute and 13?
4 seconds.
A minute and 4 seconds.
The Bible also says that people perish for lack of knowledge. And I'm sitting here and I am just sad because it's clear to me that those who are proponents and advocates for leapfrog really do not have the information that they need about the detriment that these fueling stations pose to the lives of these babies. And you may not see it now, but in years to come, you will see the cancers rise, you will see all of the other diseases that we're suffering now. This is where it begins. I have research that I've done and presented that I would be more than happy, it would be my pleasure to share with the officials at Leapfrog. You're really sitting in the middle of a ticking time bomb. This is not the best choice for your children. I have data that can prove that to you. Not a wise choice.
I live in District 5, and if the board decides to vote for QT, please hold them to the restrictions. Please hold them to the zoning and make sure that they abide by it.
Thank you. How many seconds do we have on the other side? 111. 114. I thought it was 114. Yeah, 114.
I'd like to point out once again that this facility is not a truck stop. It is an area in which those will come for fueling. They will come inside, they will take care of their bill, they will pick up a soda, a cup of coffee, and then they are expected to move on. That is what is intended on this particular site. We certainly understand some of the community members, but it's interesting that when staff gave us the list of who we were supposed to send out notices to, there are actually no residential homes within that corridor. We were fairly surprised that it were all businesses that we were sending them out to. Most of these individuals who are talking live outside of that immediate geographic area of those who we were required to give notices to. But the point of that is to say that for those who were concerned about their property values and the like, this QT will have no impact on their property values because they live outside of the immediate geographic area where it will be taken into consideration. Not to mention the fact that this property, again, is in a commercial corridor where the truck traffic and the environmental issues that they have mentioned are already there.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to close the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to move to approve the zoning request.
Properly moved by Mr. Willis. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved second by Ms. Rowell. Floor is now open for discussion.
Thank you for all.
I'm sorry. Councilman Willis, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you for all who came out in opposition and for support. I'm taking the emotion out of it. And these are 3 questions that I asked myself. Does it fit the land use plan? Does it fit the overlay criteria? And what is the community impact? And I want to give you my personal, and I haven't had an opportunity to speak with Quick Trip. And I'm glad I didn't, because I didn't want to get accused of doing something I didn't do. But let me give you my experience with Quick Trip. And Rashard Ritchie, he can vouch for this. A couple of years ago, we had a slaughter crime issue in the city of South Fulton. And we protested many gas stations. We protested the gas stations on Roosevelt Highway, and we protested the gas stations on Cascade Road, and Rashard Ritchie was out there with me. We protested gas stations because there were 7 individuals who were killed at these gas stations due to slaughter crime. And we were asking for additional security, and we were also asking for surveillance, for gas stations to implement surveillance. It went as far as Commissioner Arrington had to work with the county commission, and he had to legislate an ordinance to threaten to take away liquor licenses if you had a gas station that had consistent illegal activity or incidents at their gas station. So Quick Trip did not have to wait on that legislation. Quick Trip did not have to wait on that mandate. Quick Trip immediately hired local certified, post-certified police officers and put them at not only the gas stations in the city of South Fulton, they put them in the gas stations in the city throughout Metro Atlanta. They also implemented $1 million surveillance system where they can monitor activity from the corporate office. And Quick Trip did that willingly. Not only did Quick Trip do that, if you recall, an incident happened over the ice storm holiday where a child was abducted from a Quick Trip gas station. They found that baby on South Fulton Parkway within hours. Do you know why? It was mainly because of Quick Trip $1 million surveillance system. So we have a corporation that is coming into our community that will add value, doesn't care about the community, doesn't care about the safety. It is a corporate business. If we do not get the tax revenue, Union City right across the street will. It makes no sense.
Thank you. Mr. Clee.
Mr. Ritchie, you're right, this is a tough decision. I have a question and I have a comment and a question from Ms. Reed. So my comment is, people have asked me, I just think a lot about our anniversary. People have asked me, is this what you thought being a councilman would be like? And for maybe the first 6, 7, 8 months, I was like, no, we don't really talk about stuff that's important to me. But this tonight, and the past couple, I just thank God that we're having these zoning hearings. We definitely here in South Fulton have an engaged and passionate community. And I would advise all developers that are considering coming into our city to take note of that and to govern themselves accordingly. My question though for Ms. Reed was, you said that during the CCIM, the information hearings, that there was significant, you said there was strong support, I think those were your words. And I just want to know what were you quantifying as strong support?
In regards to the number of individuals who showed,
Right.
if there were about 20 people that showed, at least 15 or so before the purpose of this request. I mean, there were 4 groups at the time.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Jackson.
This started December the 13th with Quick Trip. Our conversations, and I never meet by myself. I make it a point. And I had 2 of my constituents with me, Jarman Bryant as well as John Jones. So they were able to hear what Quick Trip had to say to us. And we had a very nice conversation at that point. And the mayor's looking saying, don't say, I'm not gonna say anything, okay? But I have been ridiculed, and I have been falsely accused. I'm gonna leave that alone.
Yes.
But I heard you say that Leapfrog serves at least 100 low-income families. I too was a single parent, earning too much to receive food stamps, but not enough to pay both daycare and rent. I have been unemployed and on Section 8. I have been homeless, and sometimes I didn't know where my next meal was coming from. Therefore, I can identify and empathize with some of the Leapfrog's population and employees. This conversation, as I said, began December 12, 2017. On January 16th, I received an email from Attorney Battle about the community meeting. On January the 19th, I received, at 6:46 p.m., I received an email from Mr. William Battle that there was a meeting with Beverly Young and 4 other community members who overwhelmingly wanted field trip. So as you know, I am very conscious of my constituents' concerns. We have been left behind on Old National and District 5 for too long. C2 is broader than the current comprehensive plan, and it allows the inclusion of uses that may not be environmentally friendly. I am concerned about the quality of life for our children and neighboring communities. At this time, I do not think it's in the best interest for it to be rezoned to C2.
Okay, thank you. Hearing no further Mr. Baker.
I would rather not say nothing, but each one let me be still. It's a situation that I can't, like Councilwoman Willis said, I need to just take the emotion out and apply the logic. When I do that, I still see it twofold. The logic is everything that we just said about that revenue possibly, well, not even about it going to Union City, but the fact that it is a good look for us financially as a city. But at the same time, I don't want to be discouraged and say what nobody else will come and do in our city. We're new, we just started. And the other logic that I would like to apply is the fact that we just brought in our city manager. He hasn't even been here a month. And his specialty is economic development. I don't see these green shirts and the leapfrog people as culture people. These are people here who fight for their job. They could care less about culture. So when I see those light green shirts, I'm thinking like, man, we gotta do better when it comes to finding employment for our people in our new city. Because it's not even about culture. So ultimately, when I see the no shirts, I'm still perplexed because these are people who are thinking this is our property and y'all said y'all were gonna do better by us. This is the first thing that they told us. We don't want a Family Dollar and we don't want another gas station. But our job is to say, okay, what the land should be. So that's what makes it so difficult to raise my hand for or against. I don't know how true it is that we lose the leapfrog if we don't gain the quick trip. It's hard, I hear you. I hear you, but I guess what I'm saying is none of y'all know either, other than the pressure that's being applied to us to say yes to quick trip because we want y'all to keep y'all jobs. So it's like for us to sit here and make this decision. I know this is this discussion, but I feel like it's something that we shouldn't rush to. We just held something, and I think this should have been held as well. So that would be my motion if this fails.
I really agree with you because it's so hard. It's just two-sided. So as you're talking, I'm thinking about the leap from being between a rock and a hard place because of their mortgage that they need to get from under in order to keep leapfrog. So are there any possibilities of dealing with that in another way so that they don't go under, the kids are not affected, and so if we hold it, then that gives an opportunity, and it would have to occur very quickly to try and come up with some other alternatives, perhaps.
Okay, I'm going to close the discussion. All those, I'm sorry, Ryan.
So it's my understanding that this can only be zoned for daycare. So I'm not understanding why we gotta hold it. What are we gonna hold it for?
I would ask you all not to applaud.
I ask the question. Is this land only to be zoned
Are
for?
you speaking to the staff?
Yes.
Okay, staff.
That is correct. It is only allowed to have a daycare on that location.
I have a question.
Yes, 1 minute. Are you finished?
Okay. So there is no other way that this can be zoned for anything else.
With the current zoning, it is only allowed to have a daycare. There would need to be a rezoning in order for there to be another use.
I was just asking, Mr. Mayor, that there is currently a church on the property, and it's my understanding that churches don't need zoning. Could it be a church? It can't be a church?
But the zoning.
And I think I saw, excuse me, I'm sorry. And I think I saw Mr. Baker again.
Yes, I just wanted to ask Mrs. Reed a question real quick. As far as the timeline for the possibility of a rezoning, what are we looking at? Are we under the gun because we have a developer who may be running out of mortgage payments to pay, so he's going to lose this? Or is it possible for that area to later be rezoned for something else?
So the first part of your question has no precedent in your decision tonight. You can make the decision to defer, you can make a decision tonight. Whatever you decide could be based on that. It should not be based on those decisions necessarily.
With that being said, I'm saying, what's the process for rezoning timeline?
The process, you can make a vote tonight to rezone tonight, or you can defer, or whatever you decide to do. It's up to you,
Yes.
how you wish to move forward.
Okay. I'm gonna go discussion. All those in favor? Motion to approve. That fails for lack of 4 votes. I'll entertain another motion.
I'd like to make a motion to hold it.
Second.
Motion to hold by Ms. Gilliard, second by Mr. Baker.
Until the next available zoning meeting?
Next available zoning meeting. When is that? When is the next available zoning meeting?
It was the 22nd, but we have temporarily postponed that, so we will have a date in the near future to circulate.
Okay. All right. All right. Properly moved and second in discussion. All those in favor? That passes. Okay. Next.
The next item is business under resolutions, letter B. A resolution 2018-026 resolution.
You know, would y'all be silently, please? Go ahead, Ms. Burke.
Resolution to amend the fiscal year 2018 final budget for each fund of the city of South Fulton, appropriating the amounts showing in each fund as expenditures and expenses, adopting the several items of revenue anticipation, and prohibiting expenditures or expenses from exceeding the actual funding available and for other lawful purposes.
Mr. Dunn, you making this presentation?
Not a presentation. Mayor, she just said that today that we're not going to get anything passed. What does that mean? I think that's not
Ms. Willis, Ms. Willis.
That is not
Ms.
appropriate.
Willis.
You need to address
Ms.
that.
Willis.
So,
Mayor, this is not a presentation. We actually did the presentation during the last meeting and have presented the council with the overall backup documentation for the budget amendment. Had a few meetings with council members as well as...
Excuse me 1 minute. No. We cannot have a conversation going on while we're trying to listen to the city manager make his presentation.
Mayor.
So
May I please
I
say
know I'm not going to recognize you. I'm going to let him finish his presentation. Go ahead.
All righty, so while there is not a technical presentation, I think we provided council with a variety of information in support of the budget amendment. As presented, there's approximately about $80,000 in cost savings even with the modification. So I do have one amendment to the overall information that you provided. It is actually to increase the current council budget slightly. After reviewing your individual budgets, I've seen that, so one, I do plan to offer some increases to those budgets at approximately $4,000 per council member, but that is with the caveat that the coordination of this spending, that there be procedures developed by the administrative staff on how to submit and reconcile these expenditures. But my recommendation is an increase of $4,000 per council member, with the exception of the mayor for this, for the remainder of the year, with a reconciliation for all of those budgets for FY19. Otherwise, the recommendation stands as presented to council in the presentation last meeting and the documentation that was forwarded as a part of your publicly available package.
What's the financial impact of the increase?
So it will reduce the overall surplus by about $28,000. It is no real impact though, because the budget is still balanced and those are just projected cost savings. And to be pretty forthright with you, I actually expect to have additional savings based on how I plan to manage the city.
Y'all did even say savings.
I did.
All right. Okay. So we just need a motion.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the manager's budget amendment.
Hold it. We got to get the parliamentary secretary. We're approving the budget and the amendment.
Correct.
Okay, that's what you're saying?
Right.
Okay.
Budget, what you will be doing is approving the budget with the amendment.
Right, that's what I want to make clear. That's what I want to make clear.
Yeah.
It's been second. Any discussion? All those in favor? That passes. Mr. Clerk?
Before we move on, Mr. Mayor, I would like to say I do sincerely appreciate all the council members who spent time making sure that they combed through this budget over the last 30 days. I think we even had an opportunity to meet with Councilmember Gilliard for quite a bit of time today, as well as Mr. Baker, and I know I've spoken with each one of you, so appreciate your confidence in me and the ability of staff to be able to manage this thing and rectify some of the previous issues, and just look forward to moving this process forward.
I'm thankful that Ms. Gilliard didn't come with today's questions. She got it answered today. Okay, that's the way you do things. Mr. Clerk, let's go.
The next item is under ordinances, letter C. They are companion ordinances. The two listed, the first item is an emergency ordinance with the same title as the second item for first reading. So I'll sound the first item is an emergency ordinance to amend Title 1, Chapter 3, Mayor and Council of the City of South Fulton Code of Ordinances to ensure consistency between council voting and the city charter, and for other lawful purposes. That's ordinance 2018-002.
Okay, can you sound them both at the same time? Is that all right, Ms.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's sound them both at the same time, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, and with the same reading, like first ordinance, that'll come back to you at your first meeting in May.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 2018-022 and ordinance 2018-023.
Moved by Ms. Ross, second by Ms. Gilliard. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Okay, that passes unanimously? No, it passes for the unanimously with those who all right, that passes unanimously, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, the next item under number 9, board appointments. primarily for spreading upon the minutes relative to the Board of Ethics. Mayor Edwards appoints Attorney Kenya M. Johnson to serve as his appointee, and we also will need a city council appointee. I believe the city manager would like to speak on it because several names have been submitted by council members.
Well, I'll entertain a motion to accept the nomination of Kenya Johnson.
I move to accept the nomination of Kenya Johnson.
Second. Been properly moved to second. Any discussion? All those in favor? That passes. Kenya Johnson, stand up. All right. Thank you for. Thank you. Mr. Donald, you want to talk about the other nomination process?
Well, I think as the current process is set up, City Council has to come together and pick one nominee, which they will then bring back. And I believe we can coordinate that through executive session. I think that all of the council members, and don't quote me on this, if not the majority, have submitted a nominee. And so I think you have, a bit of time to review those, as well as an upcoming meeting for which you can take action under the current process.
Ms. Willis.
Yes. So in the meantime, while we're waiting on this process for us to establish a board, if we need to file an ethics complaint, what will happen? Will that complaint be held until the board is established? Because I just received a threat of people, and I need to file one.
Okay, Mr. Doty, I think the question is, if anything comes up prior to us putting the board together, where does it go?
I think at a minimum, they'd still be able to submit to the clerk and we can hold it. I think externally there are places where folks can file ethics complaints, but with us being in the process, we can hold those complaints.
I think we would go ahead on the next meeting when we set aside to get your nomination from here. We'll go a long ways, and then the two that we elect, they will pick the third person.
Under the current process, that is correct.
The ethics. So my understanding is the complaint will be held until the board is formed.
Right. Or you
Actually,
go ahead.
Actually, under the current ordinance, you have 60 days to have the hearing, so we would have to constitute and organize the board within that period. And then once the board is organized at their meeting, we can defer it, and we would have to allow them to make that decision to defer. Thank you.
So after speaking with some council today, we need to tighten up some language in regards to the ethics ordinance, correct? So is it possible that we can make I guess an exception and suspend any nominations for ethics board appointees until we're able to tighten up the language and do it appropriately?
Hold up. Who you addressing the question to?
Legal counsel and city.
So I do have some recommendations that I want to make, but I plan to do it after the meeting through correspondence, just so we preserve the attorney-client privilege, because it is something that legally you would expect to have that privilege covered in that type of conversation.
So we cannot install an ethics board and deal with that later?
No, the mayor can make his nomination today as he has done. But I think the question that Councilwoman Gumbs is asking is to look at the process in more detail and make sure that it comports with procedural requirements that the council would like to ensure that are in place. Is that where you were going? So I do have a response to that, and I do have an answer to that, but I do think it's in the city's best interest that you allow me to communicate that to you, where we can have the attorney-client privilege, and that will be through correspondence that I plan to submit to you after this meeting.
So I don't think my question was answered. Can we go forward if they choose to make their appointment?
Yes, if the council votes to make their appointments, they can go forward, correct.
I think Mr. Lee wants to say something.
much you love 1030 executive sessions, but I think we may need to have one of these organizations.
I mean, the residual issue is fine, Mr. Glee, it's just the fact that I just want to think if we choose to, we could do it. If not, we can do what she said, so I don't think we need executive session.
Tonight.
You want the name?
I mean, I'm ready to make a nomination now, but I don't know if we
Well, okay.
I have a question.
Ms. Willis?
So, I guess I'm confused. What is the problem with the ethics ordinance? Because I wasn't privy to any conversations about language needing to be tightened up in the ethics ordinance. We had several, it was an ordinance, so we had 2 reads, and then we had an amended piece. And so that was 2 reads. And so if it was anything wrong with the ethics ordinance, it should have been hashed out between really 4 reads. The read of the initial ordinance and then the 2 reads for the amendment.
I'm kind of going to go along with that. It smells a little bit. But once again, I think, what's the motion? I don't even know if the motion is forward.
My question was, what's wrong with the ordinance? And if it was anything wrong with the ordinance, why wasn't that information shared with the entire council? Why is it only certain people up here is privy to that information? I'm asking the attorney.
Okay, go ahead.
If you don't mind. Thank you.
So I've had a conversation with one person, and that conversation occurred today, just asking me to generally give an opinion on the ethics ordinance. So I have not had the opportunity. I mean, there are certain things that I personally have reviewed your ethics ordinance that I would love to change, but I have not personally gone through to propose any specific changes or any specific document. Now, my hope would be that I could communicate this with you with a level of secrecy, and that level of secrecy being that I don't think it's in your best interest for me to communicate to you, to respond to the question that you want me to respond to publicly, because you are under threat of not just complaints against each other. My view of this is complaints not against you guys against each other, but people against you. And that's what I'm trying to address. And for me to talk about that publicly would allow people who may file a complaint against you to be privy to information that the law allows you to have protection from. And that's why I would hope to be able to discuss this with you through the cloak of your attorney-client privilege, instead of telling you up front and publicly certain issues that I see, so that way someone can take those issues and use it against you. But you can move today to.
There is no one that was privileged to any information. I picked up the phone and called legal counsel because I had a question in regards to the ethics ordinance. After reading it over and confirmed with some of my colleagues that there were some discrepancies as to our nomination. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, after reviewing it again, and I was under advisement from our previous legal counsel that was a good ordinance. That's not a good ordinance after reading it again, unfortunately. Sorry, I hate to tell you all that. There are some things that needs to be tweaked in that ordinance, even after 2 reads and even after an amendment. So unfortunately, I mean, to be transparent, to protect us as a city, and to protect us as a council, I think it's only fair that our legal counsel is able to go through it again. And do it before we nominate anyone else that's going to be part of the process.
Mr.
I oppose the ethics ordinance originally. It is because the ethics ordinance was based on an ordinance that was by GMA, the Georgia Municipal Association's model ordinance. But then we added all of these things to it. Us, none of whom are lawyers. So the GMA ordinance has been adopted by dozens of cities across Georgia, and it's been tested. So people know that it works. But my nominee, who I am ready to nominate tonight, who is an attorney from Austin and Ford, and now has his own law firm, asked me several questions that neither I nor our legal counsel could answer. One of them, of which was, what is the process to dismiss frivolous cases without hearing them? So, for example, the Supreme Court, they make a decision about whether or not they're even going to hear the case, whether the case meets the merits. And we don't really have a process to do that in this ethics ordinance. So that's one of the things that we don't have a process to do.
Let me say this to you, the state ethics board don't have one either.
And so I'm ready again.
I don't disagree with you, but I think that frivolous things should be thrown out.
Right.
But I'm saying to you that even up to the state, they don't do it.
I understand, but again, as our counsel said, it was one of many questions that was asked that I could not answer. And our counsel, our current legal counsel could also not answer. I'm not gonna go through all of the questions. It's 10 o'clock. And I am ready to make my nomination. So we need to make a nomination.
Let me, just a minute. To try to achieve what everybody wants to achieve. If someone makes a motion, decides to hold this, how would it affect the emergency part of it? We sounded two things at a time.
That was actually the prior.
Okay.
That was,
So we need, okay. So we didn't vote on them at the same time. We heard them at the same time, we didn't vote on the same time.
well, my recommendation would be to accept the mayor's appointment, to let me communicate in the meantime with you, because you've already moved to do it. And you've already voted on it, so you would have to move to reconsider that to take it away.
No, we can do it.
So my recommendation would be to leave as is, to let me communicate with you via email under attorney-client privilege between now and May 8th. And then if you do want to move forward, then we'll do that, and you can decide at that meeting.
But Mayor, to say that our ethics ordinance isn't a good ordinance, I think it's disingenuous.
I'll get you, Mr.
It's disingenuous because number one of the amendment was legislated by my colleague. The initial ordinance was legislated by me and my colleague Rowell. And so, are we legislating policies that are not good? Yep. I mean, I'm very confident that the ordinance is a legal and good ordinance because it was modeled by GMA. And I did my research, and I also pulled ordinances from other municipalities.
Okay, Mr. Baker?
So I think the ordinance is a good ordinance, and it was unanimously approved by this council.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With that being said, I don't think we as a council, since we've become a city, has ever gone against our legal counsel. So if I'm clear, our legal counsel is just advised that we should hold it, and she wants to go through it again, and there may be things that need to be tweaked. I'd like to make a motion that we hold that.
Second. It's properly moved to second. Any further discussion?
I'm sorry. I just have one question. Just want to ask the possibility, since our board would be lawyers and attorneys, presumably, at least one of them is, yours is. Might it be advisable to appoint the positions and have the board work with the attorney to revise the whole ordinance?
I actually love that.
I love that.
That's why
Our city is
go ahead on
taking
it. Okay, well, we have a motion on the floor, Ms. Brown.
And I also want to add, because we need to have some discussion relative to a collective appointment from the council, we need to figure out a time where we have that conversation, because that will be the holdup. And so, I recommend that we schedule a meeting to look at the resumes that we do have and be prepared to bring back, regardless of what happens with that, to have a nomination. No, I'm saying make sure we proceed with scheduling. I don't think we should, because we have to be together. We have to submit one name
for a nominate, and then one for to be confirmed, agreed upon by the mayor. That's how the ordinance reads.
To the motion on the floor? Okay, we have a motion on the floor. We're in discussion right now. Any further discussion? Ms. Jackson?
Just the last question. Did I hear you say that you all wanted to take the attorney out of the equation?
No.
No. Okay.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
What are we voting for? I'm sorry.
To hold it.
To hold it.
To hold it.
What do we hold?
We're going to hold it. Right now, you're probably just holding out or making a nomination for city council.
Okay, well, we just hold it.
Making a nomination for city council?
We're going to hold our nomination. I think the motion is to hold our nomination.
Yeah.
To approve the mayor's nomination and to hold. Which we did already.
So then our attorney may be able to make whatever it is.
But the other one I thought was.
So I thought that we wanted to, from my understanding, we made a suggestion to bring in the ethics board.
Excuse me. We don't have enough people to sit here and do a nomination tonight. The majority of the people say they want to hold.
Right.
So let's move. Thank you. Next, Ms. Clerk. Ms. Clerk.
You're now at the mayor and city council comment section.
Khalid, go right ahead. You got 2 minutes.
I want to thank everybody who stayed tonight. Sunday will be the anniversary of our swearing in. I'm talking to some folks at Banneker, so I will get back to our council. They may let us, between 4 and 8 on Sunday, just go sit on stage and just talk and reflect over the year. We will have an event. The Old National Council people will be having an event at World Changers Church. Of course, you can find out about it at khalidcares.com. Many of you, congratulations, all of you super voters, you received a mailing about the event, and the back of that mailing also has frequently call numbers for the city, so please save that. Thank you all for staying, and South Fulton forever.
Thank you.
I would like to thank our city manager and all of the people who weren't affected by Chestnut Ridge, who came out to the meeting on Tuesday night and who heard a lot of things that they needed to hear, a lot of things that they had not heard in terms of how they could move forward and what they can and cannot do. It was well attended. A lot of different departments were there from different areas, you know, in the county and otherwise. The representatives were there from, excuse me, from the commissioner's office, the insurance commissioner's office, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, it was hosted and put together by Pastor Henry, and so it was really great. Next month, District 4 plans to have a huge environmental forum to deal with environmental issues, particularly environmental justice as it relates to our city.
Okay.
I want to take all my 2 minutes to say thank you so much out the schools, the organizations. We had a good time, our mayor. So again, community pride is so important. So I do hope that you all will continue to clean up your community because again, government can't do it alone. Also too, on April the 30th, at Will Creek Library, District 2 will be hosting this town hall meeting. So you have the opportunity to meet your leadership, your new leadership. Again, our city manager has only still in infancy stage, but he's doing an incredible job. So we want to make sure that all District 2 residents come out and speak with them and just learn a little bit more. We will be celebrating our 1-year anniversary. Believe it or not, it has been 1 year. It feels like it's been 6, but it has been a great year, and continue to come out and learn more about District 2 and the things that we have going on. Also on on May the 7th, I believe, we will be having a community engagement meeting in regards to some new developments that are coming in District 2. So please, if you have not received my emails, or if you're not on my email list, please find me on Facebook, or you can text D2 News to 22828 or call me. Thanks.
All right.
thanks for those who have stayed. I know it's a very engaging conversation we've had this evening, and I think it speaks to the level of due diligence we want to do on some issues that are not always easy. So thank you for your community engagement.
Ms. Willis?
Thank you for those who stayed and thank you for your community engagement. I hope tonight really sets the tone for why it's important for us to move forward in establishing our comprehensive development plan for our city of South Fulton, because the one that we adopted was Fulton County. And yes, Sunday will be a year anniversary that we were sworn in as council members, but I am not going to rest easy until we are a full-fledged operating city and have all of our services transition over to our city. So I would not celebrate until then. We are state mandated to have our transition completed by November 2018, and that is critical. And I just want to focus on that. I want to focus on getting whatever services we need in our city transition. I want to make sure that we support our city manager as much as we can so that he can hire the critical positions that need to be hired. And November 2018, once all of that is done, I'll be ready to party and celebrate the 5-year struggle it took for us to become a city. And I also want to recognize everybody who helped get us here. It's not about me. It's about the struggle of us getting here. And then also having our transition successfully completed. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Jackson.
I would just like to thank everybody for coming out tonight and sharing, voicing your opinions on what you believe and what you want for our community. As you've been told, on Thursday, April 26th, we will be having an Old National 1 Year at a Glance at World Changers in the Youth Recreational Center. I have not had a town hall this year, and that will be my first town hall, and I invited our councilman to come along with me, so we're doing this collaboratively. We are going to be telling you where we were when we started and how far we've come. We are inviting our city manager. Our mayor is going to just stop by and give us a welcome, so he says. We're going to try to hold him down. But anyway, he's going to stop by and give us a welcome. Our city manager will be present, as well as all of our department heads. Currently, you'll have an opportunity to, and I did forget Judge, but did you have something? Anyway, I put it on the spot, I'm sorry. But what we want to do, we want everybody to be able to come out and go and actually talk to your individual department heads and find out what they do and what is going on in the communities. Okay?
All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Baker.
Okay, I would like to take my time, I would like to use my time to just say thank you to everybody that showed up, everybody who's been here and been diligent with us all the times that we haven't had the opportunity to say nothing to y'all because we've been here past midnight. Thank you so much. I would also like to say thank you to Point Ridge and their new board. I'm so excited about their excitement because they look good and they represent the district well. I'll be at Stonebridge subdivision on the 26th, on next Thursday. I think they deferred their meeting because of 1 year at a glance events. I also would like to say thank you to the City of South Fulton Police Department and Chief Rogers in general for their work on Old National Boulevard. Please clap for them. It's a real big deal whenever I get a text message talking about how they thought we had sensitive Black Lives Matter people and educated people who didn't want to get rich off the back of the public. Now you got the police barking down our back all up and down Old National. And when I announced it and read that text in the community meeting, everybody applauded because it's time, and it's nothing like seeing a City of South Fulton Police Department in the meeting. It reminds you that you're in one of those places that you just can't do what you want to do with. So I wanted to say thank you about that. And as far as our passionate discussion tonight, I'd like to ask our members on both sides of this, our city constituents from both sides of this issue. During this time that we're holding it, to edify yourselves thoroughly, and don't be used as pawns in a game by people who want to make money off the back of us. So I think that that's very important. Just do your due diligence during that time. And please come out Thursday and stop by. I know we only have like 8 minutes to speak on Thursday, but I need y'all to stop by the table that I have set up, because I'm going to have my new initiative, my Infiltrate to Educate initiative, whereas I know I've been spending a lot of time with the knuckleheads sometimes, but now I'm starting a new initiative to help our kids go faster and further and pay more attention to those who are doing the right thing. So thank you for this time.
I'm going to give Councilwoman Gunn 10 seconds of my time.
I just want to say thank you to, I totally forgot, the City of South Fulton police officers and the code enforcement for their work that they did, getting that trash up and then helping direct traffic. So thank you so much. I know it was a labor of love, but thank you. And then also too, I did want to mention that Judge Sellers will be at the town hall meeting on the 30th as well. Sorry, I missed that. I think I'm done.
My time. I just wanted to say to my colleagues up here, you all have done some outstanding things in your district. Cleaning up, picking up trash. I've been picking up trash for some of y'all. Some of it was fun. Some of it was just hard work. But those are the kinds of things that we need to be doing, engaging with our communities, and helping, Linda said something about it earlier, helping us to make sure that our communities look good. Thank you, Ms. Gilliard, for standing strong on the people over who are victims of the tornado. And sometimes you have to get out your place and go meet people where they are. And so we really, really appreciate all the work that everybody does up here, not just passing ordinances, but sometimes you have to get one of them grippers and go outside and pick up a little paper, you know. And you'd be surprised when people see you picking up paper. They'll blow at you, you know, you look good. You know, when you look at paper, you look good. So I just want to thank them, along with the citizens who participated with them in all the community efforts to clean up our city that went on in every district. So I want to say that. Now we got one little thing I just was told we had to do. And I think we can do it in 5 minutes.
More or less.
Okay. Well, less than 5 minutes. Go ahead, Mr. Miller.
So first, I'd like to apologize. We did have a pertinent item that was inadvertently left off of the agenda. I do think it's a very important one. As you know, about 30 days ago, you passed an emergency ordinance for the courts. And so this was not left off purposely. We actually, under the advisement of council, have met with Fulton County to identify more permanent court-based options. And unfortunately, these meetings happen after the actual submission date for council. And so as such, we also had to do a financial impact statement related to the coordination of this emergency ordinance. And while we found that there was no fiscal impact, it took us a little bit of time to just make sure and verify that. And so what we are asking here is that we extend or basically introduce a new emergency ordinance. During this time, we'll be meeting with two factions from Fulton County, both Paul Howard's office, so that we can potentially utilize community court more frequently, and then secondly, with the administrative folks from Fulton County, including Marvin Arrington's team as well, who have helped us to identify what those options are. We expect to get that done prior to the now rescheduled May 22nd meeting, and this should allow us to not need another emergency ordinance, but to have a permanent ordinance regarding court. And now this ordinance is truly the support of both our attorney and our judge, and so any questions about this activity would have to be deferred to them.
And this is no financial impact?
No, sir, it is just it is the same, I don't want to say the same ordinance because the dates changed, but it is another emergency ordinance which just again gives us an extension, that gives us more time.
Quick question. As it relates to this particular ordinance, I'm wondering if it in fact should be a resolution because it speaks to a schedule of when court will be held. Whereas the ordinance might need to have something very general in terms of being left to the discretion of the judge in future cases, so that we wouldn't have to go back and, with 2 votes.
I think that, first of all, good evening, Mayor and Council. I think that the charter specifically speaks to the fact that the schedule for court sessions has to be adopted by ordinance. And so I think that's just in the charter, and so that's the reason why it's presented as.
So I make a motion then to accept,
Can I ask a question?
it doesn't have a number, but,
024.
024, okay. Ordinance 2018-024, an emergency ordinance amending the municipal court schedule and for other lawful purposes.
Second. It's properly moved to second by some 1 or 3 people. I would take this Gumbs. It's a discussion. Ms. Kenya, we get to discussion. Now we in discussion.
Anyway, on the front page, on the budget impact statement page, it says explanation of prospective cost to the city, explanation of prospective revenue for the city, funding source and impact on city budget unit. So why is that there?
I can answer that. So I'll be pretty forthright with you. This impact statement that we have in front of you, so I don't like it, but this is the form that we have utilized before, and I didn't want to break precedent. What we would normally put in here is a brief explanation and to say that it will be, there is no impact out of what is already budgeted. Of course, there is an impact, but it is already budgeted, there's no additional cost, and that's why it currently says not applicable. Again, the form is going to change, and it'll be a part of our administrative activities. So using the same form that you had in place, we thought this simplest and easiest for everyone to digest. Yes, ma'am.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. All those in favor? That passes. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Let's go home.
You want to vote? Like, we need some comments. You don't have